45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I think we're going to have a light breakfast.
Yeah.
We're going to have to really kill it at lunch. And then dinner is just going to be
free for all.
But you have to wait till after the draft for dinner, but you can't really enjoy barbecue while the draft is going on.
No.
So that's sort of a catch-22.
I can't be like all sauce all over my face and my hands trying to use an elbow to like scroll up to see the latest pick or trade.
Last year, though, it would have worked at the number 4 pick, though. Sauce Gardner.
Yeah. You've been waiting for that one, haven't you?
No, that dad joke just came out of nowhere.
Sure?
You handed it to me.
No. This is like when Ian Eagle sat on Jawbreaker for the whole year and then finally unleashed it.
Wait.
That's what he told us. And you've been sitting on this one for like at least 2 weeks.
You were just talking about how you can't get sauce on your hands so you scroll down during the draft. I mean, come on. That was put in my lap. I had no choice but to spike it home.
Sure.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
I asked, what college football fan even asked for this? Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We are surrounded by breaking news in college football. Apt that we're doing Rivalry Week this week because forget it, college football is over with rivalries. The way that this keeps going and the expanding, and if you're just getting caught up on the news or just getting into your car or what have you, as of basically today, Oregon and Washington are also going to be joining the Big Ten starting in 2024.
Right.
2 days ago, this was not a thing. Today, this is a thing, and Arizona is going to the Big 12, and likely Arizona State and Utah is going with it. The Pac-12 is over, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of been over a little bit already. It was sick. It was dying, and
man.
now it looks like it's dead. But I'm sorry, I'm stuck on that sentence you just said. The rivalries are dead. That is somewhat true. Because obviously we'll probably get Washington State, Oregon State. We'll get ripped apart. But in general, though, I mean, you're sort of implying that college football is losing a lot by this. In my mind, it'll gain things that will offset these losses.
Okay, great. If you want college football to be the NFL, then today is a great day for you.
Yeah.
Because if you want college football, which eventually, Perloff, you've said this, I'll give you full credit. You think it's going to go eventually to 2 super conferences, the AFC and the NFC. If you want the AL and the NL in baseball, you're now going to eventually get that in college. Or you might get 3 conferences or whatever. But that's essentially where this is heading. So if you're cool with college football just becoming the NFL, then fine. But there was always something unique about college football. I think what people liked about it is that it was different, that it is different from the NFL. But now with the transfer portal, which is free agency, with NIL, see, that's the thing. I think college football fans wanted the athletes to get compensated. Right. We all wanted that. Maybe a couple staunch holdouts didn't, but for the most part, we all want the athletes to be compensated for their talent, their name, image, and likeness, for their skill, the time they put in. But nobody asked for this, which is blowing up the sport.
I think the sport's been blown up for the last 5 years. Okay, we had transfer portal, we had NIL, we've had some conference realignment, or at least the impending conference realignment. The sport's more popular than ever. Every year it grows in popularity. Everybody loves it. There hasn't been I haven't seen any college football fans turn away. Not a single one. If anything, they're adding audiences. I feel like it keeps moving up the sort of sports pyramid in the United States. As it gets more professional, nobody's turned off from that. Nobody cares about the amateur stuff going away. Everyone I know is into college football.
Wait, it's not about, okay, is it more popular, or is because like what happens with any sport, when you put a Final Four on something, all of a sudden it's going to get a massive TV number?
No, I just think it's taking more of the headlines. However you judge popularity in the American sports landscape, college football moves up and up and up and up. I feel like it's blown away baseball. It's blown away the NBA. I think that all this professional stuff is somehow helping it. It's kind of like the NFL. We love the NFL. So I think they're taking a lot of the good things. And conference realignment is just going to make for more great matchups. We're going to see, I mean, listen, I don't want to see Oregon Rutgers either, but I do want to see Oregon Michigan. I do want to see Ohio State USC. I think that this is all going to make the sport more popular in the long run nationwide. Okay,
but you were probably going to get some cool matchup just by the virtue of the college football playoff going to 12 games.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, who knows how this is going to shake out with, like, regular season schedules and who's going to play who. And you've got 18 teams are going to be in the Pac-12 now. And this is, you know, they're going to have to probably maybe go back to divisions and split it up even more, which I know they're trying to get away from. Whatever. All these details, irrelevant. But if that's the only reason why you're going to say it's better, I think you're still losing, because what you might gain in Oregon, Michigan, you're losing in Oregon, Oregon State.
For now. They can eventually reschedule that rivalry. It's happened before.
Okay, but is it going to be watered down if they're in two different conferences? Like, look who's left. Cal, Stanford, Oregon State, Washington State. I mean, I'm assuming, are they going to the Mountain West? I don't know. Are they going to get absorbed by the Big Ten? We don't have any, like, answers to this. So the Big 12, it's not going to mean as much if they're not in the same conference.
This reminds me, and it's maybe a bit of a left turn. Remember when Mark Cuban said the NFL was getting too big for its own good? He said, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Fat hogs get slaughtered, yeah.
So he was, wherever the truth was, he was 180 degrees opposite of it. The NFL has done nothing but grown exponentially.
He didn't get that one right. He did not.
He was literally exactly wrong. The same thing has happened with college football. College football is growing.
Yeah.
You know, it appears greedy, but the truth is it's going to make for a lot of great fan experiences moving forward.
Has it gotten better, though? I think you're saying growing.
Yeah, I think I do think it's gotten better. I think college football has gotten much better in the last 3 years.
Because of the transfer portal. And NIL.
Transfer portal, NIL, and the expansion of college football playoff is going to be a huge hit.
Okay,
so all three of those have been hits.
You could have done all that without taking away traditional rivalries. You know, like, that's the part of it
that's a bummer.
You're not going to be able to get back. It's a massive bummer. And I don't think, we're just going to basically, whitewash and wash away, like, in some cases, like 100 years of history. It means nothing. And that's fine if you just want professional sports, which will always just go, it can be justified because it's always pro sports. You want to put a team in London, you want to put a whole division in Europe, like, hey guys, we got to expect it at some point because it's professional sports. But that was always the difference between college football and the NFL. The rivalries and the traditions actually mattered in college football, along with the money, I know, but the traditions matter.
Yeah, but traditions have been sort of being whittled away over the last several years, and the sport's still awesome. I think that we're going to get great matchups moving forward. I think you're going to have more competitive balance. There's so many weeks of college football where you don't get ranked teams playing because the schedules are an absolute joke. Georgia's schedule this year is a joke. Yeah. Michigan's schedule is an utter joke. Yeah, I think that you're going to improve that terrible imbalance schedule. And also, I think you're going to have a more fair way of naming the champion. I thought Alabama should have been in over TCU last year. We all knew Alabama was a better team. So I think the 12 is going to make for a better playoff. I think everything is going to improve except for the rivalry. But I would urge these schools to say, you know what, let's make sure that Oregon and Oregon State schedule each other.
It didn't happen when, Texas and Oklahoma went away. Texas Tech, Texas went away when they split up. Like, sometimes it just doesn't happen. You might end up getting them back together at some point, right. But there's no guarantee that you're going to get those rivalries back.
No, it's that. I agree with you. I mean, I'd be lying if I said that that's not a loss. But overall, the sport just really seems like it's getting better and better. And it's, as a fan experience, I can't wait for this fall.
It almost feels like, not that college football fans are being punished. That's too far to go. I feel bad for the Pac-12 fans, people who really loved that conference and being a part of it and the tradition of the Pac-12, because this is not your fault. This is not fans of the Big 12 fault. Nothing you did warranted where you are. This is decisions that were made high up the corporate ladder, and you're the one who gets the unfortunate fallout from it, right? And it's none of these decisions feel like they're ever made with the fan in mind. all they wanted, I think all we wanted as fans, again, was to watch college athletes get compensated. And somehow that is turned into this colossal money grab and this professionalization of the sport by any means necessary, and traditions be damned. And it's a shame.
I don't know. Do you really miss like the old conference realignment from 30 years ago? Is that a big deal to you?
On the basketball side, I definitely do. Because, I mean, I can just speak for myself, but growing up near the Syracuse area, it was really cool to have like Syracuse, Georgetown, and all of those great rivalries, and they don't exist anymore. So,
yeah, I hear you.
So I do miss them, yeah.
Yeah, but college basketball, too, I think what happened to them is they overexpanded their playoffs, and then the regular season became meaningless. I'm not sure, even if Georgetown and UConn and Villanova are all in the same conference, it'd still be the same. Because those teams aren't even really that good anymore either.
Well, I mean, they did try to put the Big East back together, but it was, it lost something already.
Yep.
And it's never going to be fully made whole again. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Hoping that we get some calls from Portland, and we're on in Portland, we're on in Eugene, we're on in a lot of Pac-12 country. And let's just go to the phones because Sam is in Portland, says this is a sad day. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Oh, man, this is a terrible, terrible day. And Perloff, you're saying this is going to be better. Better than what? I mean, I've seen you. I met you at an Oregon game. I don't remember what game it was, but I came up. I got a picture with you. It was cool to see you at that game.
Yeah.
I don't remember what game it was. But I wonder, have you ever been to an Oregon State game? I mean, that game is, I think, one of the oldest rivalries in college football. It's going to be in the top 5. And there's nothing else in college football. If you're a Beaver or a Duck in the state of Oregon, you're either one or the other. And at the end of the year, it doesn't matter what the records are. It doesn't matter who's better. That game means everything. And that game is the game of the year for Beavers and Duck fans. And, as a Beaver believer, I've been on more losses than I'd like to. I'm 55. I've seen more losses in that game. But it doesn't matter. It's the game, right? And we look forward to it. We love it. And it's a rival. To see that go away, I think it makes college football worse. And Oregon doesn't need this. They don't need to go to a different conference. The Pac-12, Pac-10 when I was a kid, up in those games.
Sam, I'm sorry, the phone's cutting in and out, but we were able to hear a lot of your point there. And the one thing, I understand Sam and fans like Sam who don't want to see these traditional rivalries go away. You've talked glowingly about your time in Oregon. You love going up there to Eugene.
Did he say he was a Oregon State fan?
Yeah.
Of course he's mad today. But I'd like to hear from Oregon fans. Are they really that mad?
I don't know, but that was an interesting point that Sam made at the end, which is Oregon didn't need to do this, right? I don't know about that because there's it's like the musical chairs and no one wants to be left without a chair when the music stops. And I think Oregon and Washington, the moment that USC and UCLA decided to leave, I think the clock was ticking. Of course. And to be honest, like Oregon's still going to have these amazing games at Autzen Field. It's going to be great. Yes, here's what I would like. If somehow they could keep these rivalries. Why is that such a hard ask? Well, they haven't, a lot of times they haven't been able to do it in the past. So. Right. Well, you know what? This is unprecedented conference realignment. So I know the schedule's set for a while, but in the next round, just everybody get the. If people in Oregon want this so bad, then pressure the public universities to keep the game. Okay, but here's the question. Say I'm just doing this for argument's sake. I have no idea if this is going to happen. But let's just say, for example, that Oregon State ends up in the Mountain West. Okay. Is it going to water down a little bit Oregon State if all of a sudden Oregon State, and again, I'm not saying this is going to happen, I'm just using this for argument's sake, if they go into a lower conference? Well, yes, but because now you're not Power 5 on Power 5. Now everything's different. Now you're getting less money from the TV rights, and it's going to be imbalanced. But isn't there an imbalance between Oregon and Oregon State right now? Well, yes, but they're still getting same or very similar amount of money from the TV deal, which, by the way, that's a big reason why this is going on with the Pac-12 is because they had 13 months to get a new TV deal, and the commissioner was waiting and holding out for a better deal, and now it looks like it's going to be Apple Plus, and I don't even know if that's on the table anymore.
Yeah, so I don't think there's going to be a Pac. There can't be a Pac-5. It's just not going to happen.
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
But I think in 5 years, do you think there's going to be any less Oregon fans? No, of course not. I think Oregon will become even more of a national phenomenon. And to be honest, I don't think this sort of split is all that we're going to have. I think eventually there's going to be a Big Two. So I think that they're going to try, eventually the Big Ten or whatever this will swallow up Oregon State too and bring the rivalry back. I don't think it's dead forever because of this. I read there was a couple columns in the Oregonians, stop the madness, keep this rivalry together. I think it's possible because I also think that we're not done. Because do you think there's just, the Big Ten, the SEC with 18 schools in the Big Ten? Like, who's going to take the Big 12 seriously? I'm sorry. They can't compete. The ACC, no one's going to take that seriously. You only have 2 serious conferences right now. So I think more change is coming.
I don't know if I'm not taking the Big 12 and the ACC seriously. I think I still am.
Compared to the Big 10 and the SEC?
Well, maybe not compared to them, but I still feel okay. I mean, I still feel like FSU and Miami and Clemson, they're not nobodies.
The ACC's got something going on, but they're not going to, look at Florida State this week.
If Utah goes to the Big 12, you get a BYU, you got a Utah, you still have
the
TCU,
old Mountain West.
You still have Baylor.
How many national champions are in that group you just said?
Well, but do I like the fun brand of Big 12 football? Yes, I do. So I'll keep watching games that are 75-68.
Yeah, but you're certainly going to watch USC, Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, UCLA before any of those schools.
Okay, in the chat, if you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where you can. Lugnut in Oregon. Okay, so Perloff, here's one for you. Oregon fan here, hour south of Eugene. This is awesome. So many good matchups, new rivalries, Rose Bowl rematches year in and year out, and can maybe afford a loss now instead of having to go undefeated. Ooh. Now, that might have happened anyway with the expanding to 12 teams in the college football playoff, but there you go. So you were asking if Oregon fans were happy. Yes. And our pal Nick in Texas is very happy today because Oregon Ducks are the talk today. Maggie has the Advice Duck today. And the only reason I have the Advice Duck suit is because Nick won a bet off of me about Oregon. So he's happy.
Right. I can't remember. Does Nick have Oregon ties? I know he lives in Houston now.
He loves the Ducks.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I do. I don't want to be insensitive to the loss of rivalries. Those two in particular, Washington State, and Oregon State. But, I mean, look at the way college football is going. It's a little bit like AI.
Okay.
AI is starting to improve at an incredibly rapid rate. So in 2 years, we're not going to recognize it. Conference realignment in college football is starting to move so fast. In 2 years, we're not going to recognize it. We're going to look back at this day and say, this seemed like a huge day, but in 2 years, there's going to be 50 more changes that are even more fundamental.
Can I just point out that the leaders in AI have warned us this could lead to the downfall of civilization? This is not all good. Like, I'm sure AI has a lot of things, but it might end the human race.
I've seen Terminator. I'm aware of this.
Quickly, Sam's in Vancouver, Washington. Hi, Sam.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Excellent. How are you?
Good. So I just wanted to kind of tail off the last two phone callers. The first guy sounded like a Beaver fan, and I'd hate to sound like that big brother and everything, but coming from an Oregon fan, that's the Beavers' real rivalry is just them. Within the last, probably 35 years, probably since the pick, if Oregon Ducks would recognize that, the Oregon-Washington game has been the rivalry. We, as a Ducks fan, I didn't like the Beavers growing up and everything until I started realizing about the Huskies just killing us all the time, and I started rooting for the Beavers. But that last fan, he was just saying that this is so bad, we didn't need to tag along with you guys, and it really, I think you said earlier that. Sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Wait, so you think you're tired? You guys, Oregon is the older brother to Oregon State's little brother, and you're sick and tired of having to drag little brother to the party with you all the time.
Kind of, sort of like that. And, yeah, that's been pretty competitive in the last 10 years, between Oregon and Oregon State.
Yeah.
really, Oregon has dominated that. And bringing Washington over, I think that's really good. I cannot wait for the Rose Bowl matchups like the last caller said. I'm a big-time Ducks fan. I was at the Pitt game, 17 rows up from Kenny Wheaton doing that, and my dad crying in the aisle. And there's such a love for the Ducks because of that moment and the history, and we have come a long way, and it's going to be awesome for recruiting for Dan Lanning. And like I said, Oregon, Ohio State versus Michigan, having Michigan back here at Austin.
I get it. You're gonna gain things, right? And Sam, thank you so much for the call. You're gonna gain things. And listen, I'm sure Oregon State is probably, if you're an Oregon State Beaver fan, you're probably like, yeah, well, I wish that Phil Knight went to my school too. You know, I wish that we had this athletic program that, you know, kids were dying to go to, and I'm recruiting battles with USC and, you know, all this crazy stuff. But bottom line, there is a tradition there, and it's going to get wiped out. Now, you might get new ones. They might form, and maybe, you know, Oregon Purdue becomes the next Ohio State, Michigan, and I'll be corrected.
I love Oregon, Purdue. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Oregon, Rutgers, guys, catch the fever.
I mean, by the way,
it's going to be fun.
Oregon State has pretty dope uniforms too. They have been inspired by Oregon, and my buddy Sean Mannion went to Oregon State, so you know Oregon State is not that much of a disadvantage.
Of course, Sean Mannion's your buddy, too.
Yeah, definitely. 855-212-4CBS. Perloff's friends with every backup quarterback in the league. 855-212-4227. All right. Weedo's Purple Drinkers, thanks so much for joining us today. You want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where to do it. Rivalry Week continues. Today, we are doing sports, one non-sports. Although today is kind of like two sports rivalries.
Kind of.
In a way. So coming up next, we're going to do the greatest fictional sports rivalry. Movies. Could be books, I guess. I didn't think about that. TV shows, movies, the greatest fictional sports rivalry. Later on in the show, we'll do the greatest coaching rivalry of all time. Got a lot to do today. Glad you're here with us. We're across the country on CBS Sports Radio. Of course, we are on the absolutely free to download Odyssey app. We're on Sirius XM channel 158. And again, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
On Maggie and Perloff. All right, Maggie, I got an important text to clear up some facts here.
Oh, go ahead. Good.
So, loyal show fan Nick in Texas.
Yeah.
He grew up in Iowa, but became an Oregon fan because he's big into running and loved Prefontaine.
Wow, that's OG.
Yeah. He said, I agree with the fan who said it'll be the Rose Bowl game multiple times a year. I'm all in, meaning now that Oregon will be in the Big Ten, you have a Rose Bowl field, Michigan, Oregon, and so I think there's a lot of excitement from Ducks fans, and I understand the Beavers fans are justifiably feel like worried or left out. But I think generally, as things grow, for most college football fans, it's going to work out.
Yeah, who could remember that classic Rose Bowl matchup of Washington against Rutgers? What a great time. Look at all the tradition we had there. Man, I was just yesterday when I was thinking about that game.
I mean, listen, you're going to have... With a 12-team playoff, you no guarantee you'll get USC, Ohio State. Now you got it.
Listen, USC, Ohio State, UCLA against Michigan.
I don't need UCLA.
Okay, sorry. USC against Michigan. Although
Give me Oregon, Michigan.
Oregon, Michigan, Washington, Michigan. Okay, and that's fine. Again, if you just want professional football.
But yeah, how many times is it October 14th and we want a good matchup and the only rated game we have is like number 19 Ole Miss against number 13 Auburn? I need better matchups every single week in college football, and this is going to give us that.
Well, it gives you a better shot. I don't know if it's going to give it to you. I joke around about Washington Rutgers, but you are going to get those, which nobody's going to want to watch.
Stick that at noon, because Rutgers always plays at noon.
Yes, they do.
Which should be 9 a.m. Washington time. But then you're going to there's going to be so many good matchups because USC, UCLA, yeah, you'll lose some Pac-12 games, but you're going to gain a lot here.
Let's get to the Great Debate Series.
The Great Debate Series. Best rivalries.
Okay, so today we're doing the greatest fictional sports rivalries of all time. They may not have been real. They may have been for Hollywood. But that doesn't mean they weren't awesome.
They're real to me.
Go ahead. You want to start us off?
I would like to start us off.
Okay.
And I want to go back to 1984 and the story of a young boy from New Jersey named Daniel LaRussa. He comes out to Reseda, Los Angeles, trying to find friends. He has a little experience in karate, the ancient form of martial arts. So everyone knows the story, finds Mr. Miyagi, all of a sudden becomes competitive. But who stands in his way? Bill Zabka, the greatest 80s villain actor of all time, also known as Johnny.
Yep.
Yeah, you might remember this scene from Karate Kid.
Okay, can you go on? Get him a body bag! Yeah!
Oh, it's so nasty.
Stu and Mike wanted to point out that was not Johnny who yelled, "Get him a body bag." Who did yell, "Get him
There's
a body
no
bag"?
chance
What's
Stu
that
has
guy's
seen
name?
Karate Kid, by the way.
Mike, you know Karate Kid pretty well. Does anyone know the name of the kid who yells, "Get him a body bag"? Anyway, it was the All Valley Championship. We all know what happens. Daniel LaRussa goes into the crane motion and boom.
Yep.
Totally illegal kick, by the way.
Well, listen, I don't want that. I don't want that issue to take over the show. We already have conference realignment. You're going to add in the rules of the All Valley tournament. So the interesting thing about this rivalry is that I think there's a great twist that they actually became friends. Then they went back and forth, and we're on season 9 of Cobra Kai on Netflix. But I just think it was such an intense rivalry, but them hugging at the end just made it the perfect fictional sports rivalry. All right, Maggie, what do you got?
All right, well, that's cute, adorable even. The greatest fictional sports rivalry is between Happy Gilmore and Shooter McGavin. While Happy Gilmore's grandmother is on the verge of losing her house, here comes Happy Gilmore trying to find a new sport, going from hockey to golf, and Shooter McGavin is standing in the way.
You're in big trouble, though, pal. I eat pieces of like you for breakfast.
You eat pieces of for breakfast?
No.
Thank you, Sandler, for the all-time great line there, and very memorable. The whole movie's fantastic, and Shooter McGavin is so he's so unlikable in this movie. He stands for not just a rival to Happy Gilmore, but in fact he stands for all of the conservative traditions that plague the sport of golf. It's a commentary on way more than just the plot of the movie.
Is it even the greatest fictional golf rivalry, though? What about Don Johnson and Tin Cup? I don't remember Don Johnson's name. He wasn't as cool as Shooter McGavin.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
It wasn't even the best rivalry in the movie. It was Bob Barker and Happy.
Oh, yeah.
That one was a little more of a feud.
No, but that was too one-sided. I mean, Barker killed him. Barker killed him. But also, if we're talking about fictional golf rivalries, what about Bagger Vance versus the Ghost? I never saw Bagger Vance.
Never saw it.
I'm a little bit disappointed in you that you didn't pull one of the many potential rivalries of your boy Rocky, and this is the one, to me, forget about Apollo, forget about Clubber Lang, this is the one that is the best. Rocky IV, Rocky versus Drago.
I must break you.
Greatest sports rivalry.
See, I totally disagree. See, that's the problem. I think, and can I speak for you here? We couldn't do Rocky because there's so many rivals. So if you do Rocky, you're competing against the other Rocky bad guys.
But now we're on the subject.
But Rocky
Who is Rocky's biggest rival?
It's definitely not Drago. He never even lost a fight to Drago. He never lost a fight to Drago.
No, he lost his career and his money to Drago. All of his money was gone because he went to Russia and fought this unsanctioned bout. Then, because Drago was taking steroids in Rocky V, he started getting the shakes and he had all these neurological issues. So his career was over. Drago destroyed Rocky and killed his best friend. Drago is the all-time greatest villain for Rocky. No question.
He dies.
That Samter hit at the end there.
No.
He killed Apollo. He killed Rocky's best friend. He's clearly the biggest rival.
First of all, you pull out the plot of Rocky V. Who's seen Rocky V? That's cheating to bring that up. I don't even know what you're talking. So Rocky did steroids in Rocky IV?
Rocky lost all of his money.
So wait, you said that, then you said something about Rocky was shaking and Rocky.
So the start of Rocky V, you see Rocky in the shower and he's shaking. He's like, Adrian, I can't stop shaking.
Okay.
Turns out because Drago was doing all the steroids and hitting Rocky so hard.
And the steroids leaked into Rocky through the blood?
They hurt Rocky so bad neurologically that Rocky had to stop fighting.
Oh, you're saying?
That's the
Do you
beginning
know
of
how
Rocky
concussions
V.
work? Do you know how? First of all, that goes back. A lot of people knocked out Rocky, Apollo Creed, and Clubber
the
Lang.
doctor specifically said it was because the power of Drago is what caused these neurological issues.
I totally disagree. I think it's Clubber Lang, and I don't even think it's close. Clubber Lang demoralized Rocky in a way that Ivan Drago never did. Rocky knew he was fighting the Russian science machine when it was never personal against Drago. He was going up against the whole country.
He killed Apollo.
He was mad about that, but I think he blamed Russia. I don't think he blamed Drago. Clubber Lang actually hit on his wife at a public ceremony. He totally took his man card away from him, and he killed Mickey. So he basically killed Mickey.
Rocky only lost to Clubber Lang because he was so concerned about Mickey. That's
by the way, if we're really going to say who killed Apollo, I mean, Rocky could have thrown in the white towel a little bit sooner.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't want to say it. Wow. You pushed me in that direction. Who really killed Apollo Creed?
Wow.
The chat is weighing in here. Our pal Mike in California, first off, the Maggie and Perloff, the Weekdays recipe book. Amazing right now. If you go to Facebook.com, search out The Perloffs, Thee, like Megan the Stallion, The Perloffs. Michael in California is uploading all of his food photos there. So he's got the ribs going right now. So get that out of the way. The Weekdays recipe book is awesome. As far as fictional sports rivalries, he says Peter LaFleur versus White Goodman in dodgeball. It's a good one. I mean, Ben Stiller is just, he's so annoying in that movie, but awesome.
All right. I'm sorry, I'm total on a Rocky train right now.
Okay.
People are going.
I thought maybe I could kind of,
Wait, so we're all in agreement it's Clubber Lang then?
No, I'm with Samter on this one. It's
How
Drago.
did we get there? How did us all disagreeing with you become, can we all agree that it's Clubber Lang?
Wait, and you also came with the hot take that somehow Rocky also had a hand in killing Apollo just because they had two epic fights?
I didn't want to say that, but you guys forced me.
Yeah.
I mean, Ivan Drago was a figurehead. Do you think he had a personal problem with Ivan? In his big speech at the end, he never even mentions Ivan. He talks about America and Russia and the relationship between the two countries.
Did you see the look
Creed 2?
Did you see the look in Rocky's face when Apollo Creed is dead in the ring and he looks up at the Russian? That is pure hatred.
Have you guys even seen Rocky 3? Because nothing is as intense as the Clubber Lang Rocky thing.
Yes, we have seen it. Clubber Lang didn't kill Rocky's best friend. He hit on his wife.
He killed Mickey.
Different.
He didn't kill Mickey. Mickey had a heart attack because of Clubber, but it wasn't like Clubber actually went after him.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, greatest fictional rivalry of all time. You can weigh in. I say Shooter McGavin versus Happy Gilmore, Perloff.
I say Johnny versus Ralph LaRussa in Karate Kid. Although, can I change?
Ralph LaRussa?
Yeah, Ralph LaRussa. That's
Ralph Macchio. Yeah, I'm totally.
Danny
LaRussa. Right. I'm going to stick with Karate Kid, but also I think people should be able to call in on Rocky's greatest rival because I think I need some support here.
Yeah, it's like a subset of this debate.
But by the way, isn't there somebody, Mason Dixon line and Tommy Morrison, and there's a few others. Should we even consider those?
No. I think your options are Apollo, Drago, and Clubber Lang.
Okay. I bet you we get some write-ins.
Like Thunderlips isn't going to be in there.
Well, Thunderlips was
We're not going with Tommy the Machine Gun?
Yeah, I was wondering if Tommy Morrison gets in there. May rest in peace.
Should we put this out on the poll?
Yeah.
Who is Rocky's greatest rival?
Okay.
There you go. All right. Well, we'll see.
Because we did such heavy rivalries for our two sports rivals, Shooter McGavin and Karate Kid.
You know, Jeffrey Howell in the chat said, bad diet and smoking killed Mickey. Facts. You know, he wasn't living a healthy life.
But I will agree with that. I mean, Apollo was too busy dancing to actually train for the fight.
That's how he got his cardio. 855-212-4CBS, besides racing Rocky on the beach. 855-212-4227. All right, clearly we got a lot going on today. Coming up, we do have the latest with Aaron Rodgers. We get all that to you after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Dexter Henry.
CBS Sports News. Sports Flash.
All right, thank you, guys. NFL News. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports that the NFL is suspending Saints running back Alvin Kamara 3 games for his role in a fight outside a Las Vegas nightclub in 2022. The Saints and defensive end Cameron Jordan, they've agreed to a 2-year, $27.5 million contract extension. The deal will tie the 34-year-old to New Orleans through the 2025 season. Jordan's new contract offers the most guarantees and average salary in NFL history for a defensive player his age. College football, Oregon and Washington are finalizing a deal to join the Big Ten. According to ESPN, the Pac-12 schools, are expected to formally apply for membership Friday, sources said, and a Big Ten vote is expected to take place this evening. The vote is expected to be unanimous for them to join in 2024, as the Big Ten would expand to 18 members. Afternoon baseball at Wrigley, the Cubs hosting the Braves, and right now the Braves all over the Cubs 7-0 in the top of the 6th inning. A Braves victory today would make them the first club to reach 70 wins this season. And veteran left-hander Cole Hamels retired from baseball today after 15 years in the majors. The Padres announced the pitcher's retirement after placing him on the voluntarily retired list. I'm Dexter Henry.
Hey, it's Amy Lawrence. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Just ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to Ask the Pros, where you can ask us the questions, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. It is Maggie and Perloff on this summer Friday and the end of rivalry week here, and we're going out with a bang. We're doing the greatest fictional sports rivalry of all time. And what this has turned into is not just about one debate. Who was Rocky's biggest rival? Because that's not even one you and I were necessarily doing. I said Shooter McGavin versus Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, I said Johnny versus LaRussa in Karate Kid. But I stayed away from Rocky because, honestly, I couldn't answer that question. I thought if I did any single Rocky person, then people would get mad. And now I'm finding out I was right because there's a lot of emotion around this topic.
No, I think that there's only one answer here. The answer is Drago. Drago, first of all, killed Apollo.
Yep.
Never became friends with Rocky. I mean, if eyes can change and yous can change, we alls can change. That's about the USSR and the U.S.
Isn't there something with Apollo's son in the last Creed movie?
No, Creed 2 was Apollo's son versus Drago's son.
Yeah.
But I thought they became friends.
No, I'm talking about Rocky and Drago.
No, but in Creed 2, Rocky and Drago still had this kind of rivalry thing going on. They didn't like shake and like they're not like good friends. They just
I thought that they'd found a good place together. I don't know.
They found I don't hate you place, but it's not a we're friends place. We understand each other place.
Yeah, they're not like vacationing together at Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know. Apollo and Rocky could not have disliked each other more, and then they're running on the beach together.
Well, because they had the mutual admiration and respect. Rocky never had respect for Drago, and how could you? He's cheating, guys. 855-212-4CBS.
Just real quick, there is a poll update. Perloff put out a poll. Who is Rocky's biggest rival? Apollo, Clubber Langer, Drago. Right now, Apollo has a lead of 48%, Drago 44%, and Perloff's pick of Clubber Lang is getting crushed like he would against Rocky in any real fight at 8%.
By the way, Mike never reads the poll except in situations where his side is blowing out the other side.
He couldn't wait to come back from break just for those. Like, Maggie, just shut up so I can get to the poll. Let's get to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Casey is in Oregon. Got a thought on Rocky's rival. Hi, Casey. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
We're great.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I just had to say that Ivan Drago is easily the biggest rival to Rocky. I would say in all of sports movies, that's probably the biggest sports rivalry out there. This is coming from a guy who I'm addicted to Rocky as a kid. My dad and I were out running hills in Schimmel shirts and tall socks since I was a kid. So,
way to bring it to life.
Dear to my heart. Yeah. And then just want to put a plug out there for my Beavers, obviously hometown, alum from there. I just want to say it's a little frustrating, but we're going to be fine. We've got alumni. We just put in a $54 million stadium upgrade. You know, if we got to go to the Mountain West, I think it's going to be fine as long as we have an automatic berth. So just wanted to put that in there, and I appreciate you guys.
Casey, thanks so much. And obviously talking about the news that Oregon and Washington are leaving for the Big Ten. Arizona's leaving for the Big 12. So just not a lot left here for what was the Pac-12. And it's Oregon State, it's Washington State, it's Stanford, it's Cal. We have no idea what's going to happen with those guys because we expect Arizona State and Utah to also go to the Big 12. Get all that?
Yeah, no, I'm reading a ranking of Rocky's opponents based on strength, boxing ability.
All right, hold tight on that. Let's get to Ben in Arizona's got another fictional sports rivalry that we didn't get. Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing well, Maggie. Nice to talk to you both. Hi, Perloff.
Hi, Ben.
Hey, I just was Kingpin. I got to go with Woody Harrelson and Bill Murray, and then I was thinking Bill Murray and the Gopher in Caddyshack. That's another great rivalry. Bill is like the center of the world right now, and I just saw Kingpin the other night, and it was just hysterical. And that, to me, is like a great rivalry. I mean, to lose a hand over a guy, come on.
I know.
That's pretty intense.
You're right about losing a body part, Ben. Good call. Bill Murray as Big Ern McCracken, and the best, it's such a visual gag, but his hairpiece keeps coming off his head as they're bowling against each other, like in the finals, is like it's pee your pants funny. Yeah,
absolutely. I think there's a lot of connections between your pick, Shooter McGavin, and Big Ern.
Yes,
they kind of have that same narcissism. I think everyone knows the ingredients for a good sports bad guy.
Oh, you got to just be insufferable.
Absolutely,
you know? And you got to try to be slick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Rocky enemies are different because that's real life.
Says someone from Philly. Jordan is in Eugene's got a thought on the true Rocky rival. Hey, Jordan.
How's it going?
Going great. Who do you have?
I'm with Perloff. It's Clubber Lang. I mean, to be a rivalry, you have to have more than one fight.
Yeah.
You can't be Drago. So, I mean, Rocky's only two possible rivals at this point are Creed and Clubber Lang. And Perloff has it, man. Creed Clubber Lang absolutely just demoralized him as a man and killed his mentor.
Yeah. Jordan, call back every day. You speak the truth, my friend.
Jordan, thank you for the phone call. But the way that Clubber Lang killed Mickey is not the same way that Drago killed Apollo.
I mean,
he didn't kill him with a right hook.
Come on, Maggie, now who's being naive? You don't think Clubber Lang took Mickey out? Listen, I'm a huge Rocky IV fan, but I also, here's where I would disagree. I think Rocky IV is your favorite Rocky, right? I think we caught him.
Yeah.
So to me, it goes Rocky I is the best, Rocky III is the second best, Rocky IV is the third best. So Rocky III is, first of all, it's set in Philadelphia like all good Rocky movies. I just think that they're getting farther and farther away from the essence of Rocky. Then you're getting into all sorts of...
Because he's in the Siberian countryside
Because he's like
training?
trying to make a moral comment on Russia and the United States as compared to like a really cool boxing movie.
In the time of need, I mean, that's again why the stakes could have been higher, Perloff. It's about democracy.
Do you know they gave an Oscar to Rocky I? It was the best picture.
I know, but have you watched that lately?
Yes, it's amazing. It's a beautiful film. Oh, my God.
It's slow.
It's
sorry.
slow and amazing.
It was great, but it got the Oscar not because of Apollo. It got the Oscar because of the arc of Rocky.
And Apollo was amazing
had nothing to
in
do
that.
with the Oscar.
Okay, so here's the one.
Oh, I disagree with that.
I think it's Drago. Let the record show. Here's where I could make a case, though, for Apollo. Apollo versus Rocky is what put Rocky on the path to stardom. So, like, it's the origin story, you know? And so without Apollo, Rocky never becomes what he becomes. So in that case, I could see Apollo being the biggest rival.
I hear you. But let me ask you this. Who's a cooler bad guy, Clubber Lang or Ivan Drago?
Drago.
That's 6 of one, half a dozen of another. I
What are you
mean,
talking about?
I love
You
Mr.
have-
T, but...
You have a lefty with a mohawk in the mid-'80s who
he looked cool,
was a bodyguard for Madonna. I mean, Mr. T was everything
And
to a
Muhammad
young
Ali.
Andrew Perloff.
Now, maybe we blame Stallone, but we know nothing about Clubber Lang. Like, if there was, like, some backstory to Clubber Lang about, like,
What's
his
Ivan
life and
Drago's
his history.
backstory?
We know that Drago is he's part of the machine, the Russian machine, out to kill democracy in America.
He's just a
Pump
cog.
for steroids. He's a cog, but we know these things about him. His wife, Bridget Nielsen, like, controls him, and the whole thing we know.
Clubber Lang actually shows up at a match against Hulk Hogan. I mean, it's incredible.
You know who got a sequel? Drago got a sequel. Clubber Lang didn't get a sequel.
Well, just wait. It's
true.
the Rocky franchise.
Good point.
Quickly, Chris in Texas. Chris, what do you have, pal?
Oh, as far as the Rocky's greatest villain, hands down, it's Drago.
Yeah.
He was a freaking communist.
You know, Chris, I was half expecting you right there to be like, you know who's the biggest rival? You know who would have taken down Drago? Roger Staubach.
True.
If Rocky couldn't have beat Drago, Tony Dorsett would have taken him out.
He would have outrun him.
Chris is our resident Cowboy fan in Texas.
I'm doing some research on Clubber Lang here. Did you know that he was a combination of Sonny Liston, Larry Holmes, and George Foreman? That's according to Wikipedia. That doesn't make any sense. He's from Chicago, Mike, and you said he had no backstory? Clubber Lang. He's a rich, rich character. Yeah, pity the fool who doesn't know about Clubber Lang.
Stu, have you seen Rocky?
I've seen the first two.
Have you ever even heard of Mr. T?
I've heard Terminator 1 and 3 in the first two Rockies.
Have you ever seen the A-Team?
Yeah, do you know what the A-Team is?
No idea.
All right. Got a little catching up to do. Coming up, Trayvon Diggs has a message for the fans and the media after his dust up with Dak Prescott.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, boy. There's a lot of jelly left. I thought she was making progress. There's a lot of jelly left.
See, I told you.
She needed to hear.
Fake lifelines that you were giving me.
I think this is going to end up worse than the peanut butter challenge, and I was sick for 4 days. Oh, no.
I'm like, my hands are shaking.
No, this is going...
This is all the
This is going terribly awry. Do you want to take a small break, and then maybe we assess your vitals?
I kind of want to just drink a little water and maybe stand up. Maybe just start running out of the office.
Honestly.
Whoa.
Real talk here,
That was
man.
just
Real
a
talk
really
here.
big bite there.
Can we get some makeup? You look green.
Please don't tell me I need makeup.
That's mean.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Lots going on today. Kind of a sad day, I think, for the Pac-12. You know, some people are looking at it as excited and happy that Oregon and Washington are going to follow USC and UCLA to the Big Ten. But, you know, for me, there's just a little bit of a bittersweet feeling here because I don't think that you're going to be able to discern college football from professional football in like 5 or 10 years. It's just going to be like the AFC and the NFC, Perloff, two super conferences. And I think all the things that make college unique and distinct, I think, are slowly going by the wayside. And it's realignment and the killing of what was a once very, proud and traditional conference is now gone. And to me, it's kind of sad.
Yeah, but I mean, college football has been nothing but change for a long time now. I mean, we had the BCS and we had the Final Four. Now we're going to have the 12, and conferences have been changing like crazy. And the sport has thrived. I mean, really thrived. I think it's more popular than it's ever been in my lifetime. And it's been nothing but change.
Well, here's the thing. Some of those changes the fans asked for. The BCS was a terrible system. Nobody liked it.
It was better than the system before.
Well,
which
sure.
Was which is nothing. But
Right. I think people wanted change because of the BCS. I don't know how many people were ever really asking for conference realignment. And if you're only going to say it's better now because, why, the TV deals are bigger and the money's bigger, I don't know if that necessarily means better. I think that you're getting to a spot in our world where live sports is basically like the only commodity that's valuable to TV networks. Everything else could be DVR'd or Netflix or whatever. So I don't know if bigger necessarily or more money means better. And I don't think the fans asked for it. The fans asked for two things: get rid of the BCS and compensate players. No one ever asked for Rutgers and Washington to be part of the same conference. No one asked for that.
I think the media asks to compensate players. I don't think fans care one way or the other. They just want to watch football. That's my opinion. I don't think they're as into that topic as everybody sort of I don't think people really think about, is this running back getting all that money? They just want to watch the game on Saturday. The other thing, too, is, I think fan interest has just gone up and up and up. Even if it's like the NFL is the most popular thing in the world. I think this realignment is going to be good because I think the scheduling is going to be more fair, more competitive balance. You're going to see more elite matchups. And at the end of the day, who's not going to tune in on a Saturday night or whatever time it is to see these great Pac-12 teams against these great Big Ten teams? Although I guess they're all Big Ten teams now.
I was going to say.
But these great programs. I mean, if Washington is playing Michigan.
Okay,
We're
that
all
one
gonna
is
watch
cool. But we'd watch that if that was a non-conference game.
But they can't. But then nobody's scheduling non-conference games. So this is forcing them to make better matchups. And besides, we're going to 12 anyway. So the whole thing has just been blown up already. Once we go to 12 teams, I'm sorry, these rivalries aren't going to mean quite the same thing. If you're a team like Michigan.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame, but it's still exciting. I mean, I am telling you, we're going to be so into it by December. That's like people who said, I don't want to see it expand to 4 teams. And then they're like, I don't want to see it expand to 8 teams. 12 is going to be better than 4. I mean, expansion and change are good.
855-2124-CBS, 855-212-4227. You can let us know what you think. Of course, we know we're on in a lot of Big Ten and Pac-12 areas. I should mention that Arizona is going to the Big 12, and it's expected that Arizona State and Utah will be not far behind. So what remains of the Pac-12 is not a whole lot, and we'll see what happens with Oregon State and with Washington State and with Cal and with Stanford. Yes.
Do you think that the Big 12 and the ACC are going to be able to keep up with the SEC and the Big 10? Are we going to have 4 power conferences? Because I don't think so. I think it's going to be, I think Big 12 and ACC are in real danger of falling too far really quickly to not really be the same thing, because they're not going to be viewed as the same kind of conference as the other two.
I don't think that's going to happen right away. I mean, I think that the Big 12 is like, they're like in a land grab here. It's like they're grabbing everything that's not nailed down. And the ACC is locked into a TV deal that goes through like 2035 or something.
Right.
So I think the ACC will be able, I think they're just going to be a shade below the Big Ten and the SEC, of course.
I think it's going to grow more than a shade, because now that you're adding 2 perennial top 20 teams and real potential powerhouses, Oregon and Washington, teams that have been to the Final Four, you just have so many powerhouses in the Big Ten, and you're getting Texas and Oklahoma and the SEC. I think they're starting to put distance between themselves and the other conferences. And what's going to happen is they're going to say 12 teams, all right, well, we better be 10 of those teams. So it's just going to be harder and harder if you're not part of those 2 conferences.
Yeah, listen, I can't claim to know a lot about European soccer, but it kind of feels like it's going to that, which is just like tiers of like, here's the top tier and here's the second tier and here's another tier, and it's going to be, like we have Division 1, Division 2, Division 3, but even more so split up within Division 1.
That would be bad. You're talking like what's it called when the soccer team gets a relegation? No,
you're not going to do that, but it's going to be like if you're shades below, it's going to feel like, like the group of 5. It's just like a bit different.
Yeah, it's not going to be group of 5. Group of 5 was Pac-12.
Or, it's going to be like the other conferences, remember, like the AAC and stuff like that.
Got it. Yeah, no, I just think that SEC it's going to say, if you're going to add Washington and Oregon, let's get some lawyers on the case. Let's get Clemson in here.
Okay, but you're going to need those lawyers. If you want Florida State and if you want Miami and if you want Clemson out of the ACC, you're going to have to break this ironclad TV contract with ESPN. Yeah, I know.
Stranger things have happened.
I get it. Okay, so we have your thoughts on conference realignment. So and basically the end of the Pac-12. And we also have a show debate today that's raging. It's rivalry week here on the show. So today we are doing the greatest fictional sports rivalry of all time. And what it has led to is a topic that's, quite frankly, could tear the show apart. I mean, we've never been more entrenched on our sides of something than we are on this debate.
Never.
Which is, who is Rocky's biggest rival? Because Perloff is dug in that it's Clubber Lang.
I will listen to Apollo Creed arguments. I understand that. There's history. But you can't say this one man who only fought once, and by the way, not even on American soil, fought him in Russia, Ivan Drago. That's not his greatest rival. They had a thing, but it was short-lived.
But it's not, okay, he didn't fight Rocky 2 times, Drago, but the fight against Apollo, he killed Apollo. So, I mean, that counts. That vaults Drago up to the top of foes.
I think that Apollo Creed Rocky was like the great boxing rivalries of all time. It was like Ali Frazier. It was Sugar Ray Robinson and Jake LaMotta. Like it had
Hearns.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how many times they fought, but you got to fight 3 times for it to be, or at least twice. I mean, Drago was a one-off.
Yeah, you say you have to fight 3 times, and they did not fight 3 times. There was no trilogy.
Apollo,
it was a draw
twice.
And a loss.
Yeah, I understand. I've seen the movies. Clubber Lang, he fought twice in the movie. To me, that's more powerful.
I don't think it matters. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Let's get to Alex is in Indianapolis. First has a thought on the Big Ten. Alex, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Doing great.
So I'm wondering if you think will there still be a Power 5? Like, are they just going to have these super conferences? Like, I feel my mother would be rolling in her grave if she knew about this. I think she lost it when Nebraska and Rutgers joined the Big Ten because, quote unquote, it was no longer the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if the Pac-12 and the Big 12 can even survive this kind of onslaught from the bigger, richer conferences. And is it going to be Power 4, Power 3, where the SEC, the ACC, and the Big Ten just take over?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I don't see how the ACC can keep it together as a football conference. Basketball, they're dominant. But football, there just seems like there's no momentum there. Like, I don't know what it is. The SEC seems really vibrant. And the Big Ten is obviously growing like crazy. How the ACC fits into this picture is unclear to me.
Well, I mean, let's just back of the envelope this thing, Alex, and thanks so much for the call. Because geography no longer matters on any of this stuff. Please don't tell me it does when I'm going to watch Washington play, Rutgers.
Would you stop saying Rutgers? Rutgers shouldn't be in the Big Ten. That's a mistake, I admit.
Okay,
At least give me the second most Eastern team.
Okay, I don't know what that is.
There's only one team in the East, and it's bizarre, and nobody cares about Rutgers. But I think Ohio State's probably the farthest East team in the Big East and the Big Ten otherwise.
I'd have to look at a map. Yeah, Penn State. Thank you, Stu.
Or
so you're
Penn
going to have, but that's probably cool. Oregon plays Penn State.
That's awesome.
Penn State has the brand. Anyway, okay, back of the envelope, this thing, whiteboard it. You have Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, and Stanford left over from the Pac-12, right? Once Arizona State and Utah eventually join Arizona going to the Big 12. Think about if the ACC, if you had Florida State, Miami, and Clemson all join the SEC.
Yes.
Do the remaining ACC schools band together with those 4 remaining Pac-12 schools and maybe try to do something? I don't know.
That would be like a Mountain West level.
Whatever. Like we're back of the enveloping this. Like we need ideas.
But okay, is there any good team in what you just described? Obviously, Cal's not great. Stanford's not great. Who else? Washington?
Well, you still get North Carolina and Duke as like must watch. I mean, Drake May might win the Heisman this year, be the top pick.
If Clemson goes, then North Carolina is going to want to go. They're tied.
And
together.
then if North Carolina goes, Duke's got to go.
Yes, although Duke football, I'm not sure they want as much, but yes.
Right. Then NC State's going to want to go, and then Georgia Tech's going to want to go. I mean, this is why it's tricky.
Well, in May, there were 7 ACC schools who banded together, the Magnificent Seven, to say, hey, we want to do this as a group. So we'll see if they all keep together. Yeah.
Not to mention Pitt.
But there's not going to be
We're just throwing out every ACC team.
I'm sorry.
Pitt, it's actually... very specifically, the Southeastern schools want to move together and get away from those other ACC schools. Because you're right, Pitt, BC, I don't think that Clemson cares about being in the same conference with them.
Yeah, because Pitt and BC never belonged in the ACC anyway.
But Clemson...
They belonged in the Big East.
Clemson belongs in the SEC as it is constituted now. That's where they should be.
Donovan is in Oregon. He's got a great fictional rivalry. I love this one, Donovan. I'm jealous I didn't think it up. Go ahead. What do you have?
Well, and your call screener kind of messed it up for me a little bit because I think we're now in the WWE 3-way match.
Yeah.
I had Joe Boo versus Pedro Serrano.
Wait, but Joe Boo and Pedro are on the same side, isn't it? Against Harris and Pedro Serrano, right?
That's what I said.
What your screener said, and I went, okay, all right, because Harris stole the rum.
I think actually
remember at the end of the movie, the big championship game, Serrano finally says,
"Oh,
F you, Joe Boo.
Yeah.
I do it myself."
You know what? You're right, Donovan. I think,
but that's not a rivalry. What about Charlie Sheen sleeping with Corbin Burnson's wife?
Yeah, but he didn't know that it was his wife.
Yeah, but they found out.
I couldn't remember Bernstein's character's name.
Oh,
Roger Dorn.
Roger Dorn. Lean into it, Dorn. By the way, we're talking about the movie Major League. Donovan, this is a great call by you. Thank you so much. I see where he's coming from, where eventually Pedro Serrano and Joe Boo became adversaries because Pedro couldn't hit the curveball.
But then spoiler, he did. So
Yes.
Joe Boo was on his side.
Yeah, no, they were never against each other. It's just one of the great lines of the movie.
Yeah. I think it's Harris and Joe Boo, but everyone makes up at the end of that movie. Charlie Sheen and
the guy with the Vaseline all over, he becomes friends with Joe Boo at the end.
Yeah, they all
Not
do
Joe
because
Boo,
they make it to the playoffs, or the World Series, rather.
Well, no, I think Charlie Sheen and Corbin Burnson's characters still have a little bit of.
No, he punches them in the face, and then they're good.
Are they really though?
I think so.
I mean, really, though, once you sleep with a guy's wife, I think it's hard to.
I also think that we're missing the biggest rivalry in that entire movie.
Yeah, it's the owner.
Yeah, it's Rachel Phelps versus everybody. Every
time we win a game, we peel a section. Yeah.
Okay.
It's definitely her. It's like actually her probably against like the city of Cleveland because she wanted to move the team to Miami. Did we get to the bottom of that? A lot of rivalries in that one. Let's go to Chris is in Portland. Wants to talk about realignment. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thanks for taking my call. It's a pretty sad day for me. I'm a lifelong Beaver fan. Have been a Pac-10 fan my entire life. And looking specifically at the Beavers, I'm really concerned with what might happen with them. As a fan base, we've invested pretty heavily in them. We've invested in facilities. We've invested in coaches. We've tried to build a winner. It's not like we're sitting on our laurels and not doing our part to put together a good program. What do we get with this? We're going to probably get into like a Mountain West conference. We're going to lose our players. We're going to lose our coaches. Like all of our investment is for what now?
Chris, I feel for you. I feel for you because it's a great question. A caller before said something like $54 million in the stadium upgrade, and thank you so much for the phone call. And, you know, this is what the powers that be at college football are relying on. They don't think you're going to turn your back on whether it's your alma mater or who you root for. They're counting that you're going to stay as loyal of a fan, and they're playing on your heartstrings, that you're going to stay even if the conference breaks up.
Who are these powers to be? What do you mean?
You know, the college football Illuminati.
I think they all have their own selfish motivations. There's no one organization, certainly not the NCAA, that rules all this.
No, are they even awake over there at the NCAA?
Yeah, no,
Is everyone's summer Fridays just like already at the beach? Okay.
I think the Big Ten is acting selfishly, as they should. And I think all the schools are acting selfishly, as they should. And I don't think I think it feels bad for Oregon State right now, but, you know, there's a long way to go in this realignment. If you think it's over, you're crazy. I think there's going to be many, many more big moves coming in the next couple of years.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. We're going to get back to the fictional sports rivalries. And when we come back, we'll update the poll on who is Rocky's true rival. Is it Drago? Is it Clubber Lang? Is it Apollo?
Is it? I think the Mason-Dixon line and Tommy Morrison deserve a little credit here. They did fight. I mean, I didn't see those movies, but
you can see on IMDb they did exist.
Someone here says sides of raw beef is Rocky's biggest biggest foe.
See in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Up the Gut says Jerry Maguire and Bob Sugar. That was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Cruise and Jay Moore.
There's one that occurred to me. It's a little bit darker, and I don't know if you guys have seen this movie, The Fan, with De Niro and Wesley Snipes.
Yeah. Oh, that
so
one?
Gil Renard and Bobby Rayburn. Gil Renard kidnaps Bobby Rayburn's kid and holds him hostage and almost threatens to kill him if he doesn't hit 3 home runs in a game. And then calls him out at the plate, and they kill him on the field. I mean, that's a rivalry.
You're the only person I've ever talked to who's seen that movie. It's so dark. I didn't even want to see it.
I've seen the other one, Big Fan, with Patton Oswalt.
That I don't know.
That one's good.
Scott Farrell is in that movie, where he's the guy who keeps calling in the sports talk radio.
Can we let the audience a little bit in on what's happening right now, by the way?
Michael Rappaport's in that. Yes.
I don't know. So I gave, my daughter came into work with us today, and I gave her my credit card.
I know.
And
You're
I've been getting,
trusting.
Oh, my God. I've been getting these little alerts saying $17 at Forever 21, $18 here. And now she's been secretly on the other side of the glass showing me these awesome shirts she's got.
The Strokes t-shirt is awesome.
Yeah. By the way, Lucy, can you just be our personal shopper? Lucy, my daughter, runs our TikTok account and several other social media responsibility. She is more savvy about what's actually happening than any of us. I would say.
Because she's 12 years old. So of course she would know more about TikTok than we would. And I also deputized her as my personal assistant today, and she went and got me some makeup that I needed. So thank you.
She's also seen more movies than Stu, by the way. So if we need her in on the movie
She's seen all Rockies. Okay, we see you guys on the phones. We're going to get to you. We promise these are great where I can see them. And again, I wish I had thought these up. These are awesome. We're going to get to you. 855-212-4CBS, greatest fictional sports rivalry of all time, and your thoughts on realignment as the Pac-12 is going up in flames today. So we got that for you. Don't move. More Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Remaining. .45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you're the MVP because when you see that green check, you'll know
that part fits your vehicle. ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, Maggie, this is fun.
Okay.
This week's drive of the week came in last night's Hall of Fame game, which we haven't talked enough about because it is actual NFL football. Trailing by 2 points in the fourth quarter. The Browns went on a 9-play, 78-yard touchdown drive, capped by a 22-yard TD pass from Dorian Thompson-Robinson to Austin Watkins Jr. Cleveland won. Aaron Rodgers' Jets tenure begins with a gigantic L.
Well, I mean, yeah. The big takeaway from the game, there were a couple. One was Dorian Thompson-Robinson, who was,
I mean, come on.
a little bit memorable.
The second half of the Hall of Fame game is just barely above a high school game, but okay.
Also, the lights went out.
Yeah.
So the stadium lights went out in the fourth quarter. So kudos to whoever was still watching at that point. And then apparently the showers were not working afterwards. So
also, too, Aaron Rodgers' in-game interview got some publicity. I swear, I'm not exaggerating. He took full credit for DTR. He's like, yeah, he's a West Coast kid. I kind of mentored him. I mean, he's like Mr. Helper to all young quarterbacks out there. This Aaron Rodgers positivity is starting to drive me insane, Maggie.
Honestly, before we know it, it's going to be like, did you know that Aaron Rodgers invented football? Because that's where we're going here. He's going to get credit for everything.
And his interviews are, I am tired of the interviews. They're so good. He is such a good interview. He's mastered it.
I know.
It's ridiculous. It's out of control. He basically stole Hall of Fame weekend.
And to all the people out there making fun of Darrelle Revis, I mean, put yourself in his shoes.
I thought we were going to talk about that.
No, I'm shaming the people. I'm not shaming Darrelle Revis because he had the audacity to gain a little bit of weight. I'm shaming the people who are shaming him. Because put yourself in his shoes. You have to work out every day of your life to be a football player. And once you're done, I would never work out again either.
Well, Joe Thomas, who is getting in this weekend, the Browns offensive lineman, he went from this gigantic man to this svelte model.
I know, but that's all. Clearly, Joe Thomas had to work hard to keep that weight on.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone except Revis looked like they were in good shape. But Revis was a fast quarterback. That's why it was so jarring, because the way he was in his playing days.
Yeah, he was so fast, right? So quick. But I get it. If I was him, I wouldn't even walk fast anymore.
By the way, I had mixed feelings. Rodney Barber is getting a lot of attention this weekend. I'm glad because of our buddy Tiki.
Yeah.
He's going to do the induction speech tomorrow. But can you show another highlight besides the 2002 NFC title game? Rodney Barber pick 6 against the Eagles. Yeah. I've now seen it 25 times. We get it. They beat the Eagles. Great.
You know what, though? I have no sympathy for you because every single Tom Brady highlight is against the Bills. So
a lot to choose from.
Why does it feel like everyone's against the Jets? It's just like I think it's what you see.
Yeah,
Not only did he beat the Eagles, by the way, he closed down Veteran Stadium.
He did.
That was the end of it.
And it is also, every time I watch, I'm like, oh, there's Tiki. Oh, no, it's not Tiki. Who could get in the Hall of Fame someday. Kind of deserves it. Okay.
I think so. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we're doing Rivalry Week here on the show. We'll get to the greatest coaching rivalry of all time in a minute. We're doing greatest fictional sports rivalry ever. Mike is in Ohio, wants to weigh in on the one that's just divided the show right down the middle, and that's about who is Rocky's biggest rival. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great.
I am definitely on Maggie's side of this one. Ivan Drago is by far the biggest rival of Rocky, and it's just the way that he killed Apollo Creed. And then I honestly believe Creed 2 brings it in full circle when it's like, I killed your dad, now my son's going to kill you, and Rocky beat him, now Rocky's training. I just have to, Drago is by far the biggest rival to Rocky.
Mike, what was the relationship between Drago and Rocky in Creed 2? I haven't seen it yet. Did they ever reconcile in any way?
Well, Rocky has a Italian restaurant that he runs, and Ivan Drago's son is just knocking everybody out in Russia and just is like this insane machine. And then Ivan Drago ends up walking into Rocky's Italian restaurant, and they end up just sitting down at this little table and talking, and nice. That's how it starts. But they are not friends whatsoever.
No, and nor should he be, Mike. Thank you.
No. I got a couple other ones real quick if you guys don't mind.
Give us one more, yeah.
Ricky Bobby and Jean Girard.
That's a good one, Mike. That's a good one. Talladega Nights, thank you so much. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen is the fact that they made him French, like they really just kind of played into a lot of stereotypes. But
remember, he's sitting at dinner with Elvis Costello and Mos Def at his house. I love that scene.
Let's go to our pal Mike in California. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you today?
Good. So Mike is behind the Weekdays recipe book. So ribs are on the menu today. If you want to look at the photos, it's the Maggie and Perloff unofficial Facebook page, the Perloffs on Facebook, and that's where Mike's uploading the photos. Mike, what do you have for us?
So I've got two. First of all, really quick, Drago is by far Rocky's biggest one. It was USSR versus the United States of America. Go America. But my other big rival would be the inmates versus the guards in the longest yard.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So that would be my big one.
Mike, thank you so much, and looking forward to seeing those ribs. Again, the Maggie, the Weekdays recipe book. Thank you so much, Mike. Mike's a great contributor to the show. So, longest yard, I've only seen bits and pieces. I've never seen the full thing, the Burt Reynolds. But I got to go back and watch, because when you and I did greatest sports movies of all time, there were a few I put on my list, and longest yard is one of them.
Do you remember that bald guard? And I don't know who's seen the original longest yard. The bald guard who looked like Ray Nitschke. He basically was Ray Nitschke, the Packers linebacker. I think that was very informed by 70s NFL, which is cool. Yeah, the original longest yard's really dark, by the way.
Oh, I'm sure. It's a prison movie, right?
Yeah. It's like got a lot of humor, but it's like really depressing.
Well, the second one is all like it's not dark at all. It's very. There's a little bit of darkness.
They try to get some of the
second one has Sandler in it. A Sandler movie.
I mean, it's very fun and goofy. Terry
not
Crews,
to spoil
Michael
anything,
Irvin.
but doesn't a beloved comedian die in the remake?
He may or may not have gotten slapped to death.
You guys can just say it. It came out in like 1998.
Chris Rock's character dies in Longest Yard. Wait, no, not the Sandler
Wait a
version.
minute. Chris Rock's character gets slapped to death?
No, he was thinking a Will Smith joke. He gets shanked.
I was like, get out of here. That's way too on the nose. All right, I'm the gullible
Chris
one
Rock
today.
was better known as half a star in the movie.
Got it. Jeff is in New Jersey. Jeff, what do you have?
Hey, guys. How about Average Joe's versus Globo Gym in dodgeball?
So good. The Average Joe's forever. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. Yeah. So good. Jeff, thank you for the call.
Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Not sure it's going to work. I mean, so many good lines.
Is so good. Do you think you could make that movie now? I don't know how long ago that movie was.
Are they doing a sequel, I think?
They are really. I felt like there was a lot of really politically incorrect jokes in that one.
Definitely. There was. What year did it really change? Like 07? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they were definitely sometime between. That was probably the late 2000s, right?
Dodgeball 2 is in production.
Wow.
2004.
Is Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller, they're bringing everybody back?
20 years later, it's set. I think Ben Stiller's back, but obviously the main crew is back.
Man. Listen, I think some of Ben Stiller's movies are actually some of my favorite. They're underrated. Like Starsky and Hutch is a fantastic movie. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about greatest fictional sports rivalries today. We had more in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Jordan versus the cartoon characters, the Monstars.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they stole all the other NBA players' skills.
Yeah. I mean, how dare they? So we got that going on. We've also got conference realignment going on. Can we go to coaching rivalry? I don't know if we have enough time.
No. We got to
save that.
Yeah,
okay.
We got to save that.
So we're doing greatest fictional sports rivalry of all time. We will get to greatest coaching rivalry of all time. Also, Bud Elliott, CBS Sports HQ college football analyst, is going to join us. We'll get all the latest updates on what's going on with conference realignment and what's next for, everyone left in the Pac-12. So we got that going on. For all you Oregon State fans, listen up. We get some answers after this. Don't move. Got a CBS Sports update. Here is Dexter Henry.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
All right, thank you guys. We're going to start this off, tipping off with NBA news. Anthony Davis is tied to the Lakers franchise through the 2028 season. The power forward has reportedly agreed on a 3-year, $186 million maximum contract extension. The deal is the richest annual contract extension in NBA history, averaging $62 million a season. NFL news. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports the NFL is suspending Saints running back Alvin Kamara and Colts cornerback Chris Lamons to 3 games for their role in a fight outside a Las Vegas nightclub in 2022. Both players can participate in the preseason and are eligible to return to the active roster on September 25th. College football. 2 more schools are expected to depart from the Pac-12 for another Power 5 conference, according to reports. Oregon and Washington, both charter members of the Pac-12, informed Pac-12 schools today that they plan to accept an invitation from the Big Ten once extended. The Big Ten is preparing to make those formal offers later today. In baseball, the Cubs, they hosted the Braves. The Cubs, they were hot coming into this one, having won 10 out of their last 12 games. But Max Fried, he struck out 8 batters over 6 innings as the Braves blanked the Cubs 8-0 for their 70th win of the season. I'm Dexter Henry.
CBS Sports Radio is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, SiriusXM, Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to answer our Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today's question comes from Junior in Tuscaloosa. Who do you think is going to win the Alabama quarterback battle? You can submit a question by tweeting it at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Well, Junior, Nick Saban was asked about it yet again yesterday, and he was getting snippy.
You're going to ask me about the quarterbacks every day. Every day I'm going to tell you the same thing. You know, everybody's getting reps at the position. Somebody's got to take the bull by the horns. Somebody's got to separate themselves. When that happens, we'll tell you. Be glad to tell you. When we're going to take the cake out of the oven, we will tell you when it's the time. All right. But until then, there's really nothing to talk about. There's nothing to say. So there's not a whole lot of sense in asking about it.
He's really committed to that cake metaphor. That's the second or third time he's mentioned that. To me, I think there's obviously a reason why, with Tommy Rees as the new offensive coordinator, that they wanted to bring Tyler Buchner. Now, that being said, I still think it's going to be Jalen Milroe to start the season. What about you?
Well, I think this is good. I think an ornery Nick Saban with a bad quarterback, that spells national title to me. Listen, we saw him lose it the last 2 years with the best quarterback in the land who's killing it in NFL training camp. So a good quarterback doesn't give Alabama anything. So I'm not down on Alabama just because of that, because we've seen Saban do it before.
Yeah, I don't like the way he's talking about it this time, though. It's not like, wow, we have 3 amazing quarterbacks, and it's just so hard to choose one. It's like, I'm waiting for someone to take the bull by the horns. If we believe that, that means nobody has distinguished themselves. Anyway, let's get the thoughts of our guest. Bud Elliott is a CBS Sports HQ college football analyst. He's the co-host of the Cover 3 College Football podcast, of which Perloff and I are big, big fans. Bud, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I'm kind of a Simpson guy there for Alabama. I was more on the Buchner train, figuring, hey, like, why do you go get a guy if you're really happy with the 2 dudes that you had who were there in spring? But I was doing some radio with some guys who used to play at Alabama, and they kind of think Simpson might win it out. So I'm interested in this.
All right. Well, I hope he does, because he's on my SEC quarterback fantasy football team. So.
But do you think, would you downgrade Alabama's title chances just because they don't know who the quarterback is?
Well, somewhat, I guess. I was already baking in some regression to my model from losing Bryce Young. I will say, I think Bama has some young kids who people don't know about, but will be on your NFL draft boards for the 2025 draft, who are like line of scrimmage players who are back to sort of what they had like 5 or 6 years ago. They've got some real dudes who apparently they've hit on and are ready to be like impact year 2 guys. So I think they may just beat everybody up at the line of scrimmage, kind of like they used to with Nick's old teams.
Bud Elliott is joining us, CBS Sports HQ college football analyst and the co-host of the Cover 3 College Football podcast. All right, we didn't just have you on to talk about Alabama. That was just a convenient, happy accident. But we do want to talk about the conference realignment because, Bud, we are on coast to coast, of course, on CBS Sports Radio, but we're on in Oregon where it's really been an interesting day because for the Oregon State fans, everyone is feeling pretty disheartened that they're kind of being left behind as Oregon and Washington are going to the Big Ten. What would you say to an Oregon State fan today?
I would say that it really kind of stinks for Oregon State fans, right? I mean, to me, there are certain teams that I totally get doing the conference realignment thing because they do need to chase the check, because they really believe that in the future we're going to be paying players either NIL or just as a straight employee, salary model. And if you really want to compete for a national title, like an Oregon does, like a USC does, really that's kind of the only two in the Pac-12 who seriously compete at that level. I get doing that. If you're Arizona, you're going to the Big 12 for a couple more million, but you're going to fly all over the country as opposed to playing your regional rivals. What are we doing here, right? Are we really worried about having essentially a chair to sit in once the music stops? I guess so. So I definitely sympathize with those Oregon State fans, but I do think that this might be a painful couple of years. I don't think this is a forever type thing. I mean, to me, it's not like Oregon State's going to have to drop down to the Mountain West or something forever and never be able to play, to play Oregon and to play those former rivals.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what do you think is next for the schools that got left out today? And also, too, I mean, if, say, some of the ACC schools move over, do you think we're going to see just more and more conference realignment in the coming years?
I think we certainly will. I mean, to me, this looks like a bit of consolidation. I think after you have that, my guess is we'll have a couple schools that are added the expansion. I know Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports had a pretty interesting article yesterday that I'm not sure how many people read because we had so much expansion news coming out, but he had an article on private equity trying to form their own conference to buy into the sports space, which is perhaps much cheaper to do to buy a conference than it is to buy several NFL teams, right? So if that's your entry point into the sports market in private equity, there may be something to that. So maybe I could see them snatching up some of those schools that are sort of left out and forming a new conference. I mean, everything is sort of on the table right now.
I didn't read the article from Dennis Dodd, but it sounds interesting. I mean, it sounds to me like what happened with Live. I mean, that could be right for the Saudis to come in and try to buy a college football conference.
I mean, we were joking on Cover 3 because I've said for a while that I really do believe that if Florida State is not able to achieve a reduced buyout figure from the ACC, that they will take private equity money to get out, right? And people thought we were kind of nuts, and so we started calling them the Saudi Knolls, right? And to be clear, I definitely do not think Florida State's about to take money from the PIF and do the Live thing, but I do think they'll take private equity money if they need to get out. Now, the private equity money that Dennis is talking about as far as forming their own conference is really kind of an interesting concept, and it's something I hadn't considered. I thought he was good reporting on his part, so definitely everybody should go read that. Everything really does seem to be on the table right now.
So I've been looking at this seminal Saudi Arabia meme all day long.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was wondering, but I know you said you don't think it's actually going to happen. You tweeted that you don't think this is a realistic option. To me, the Saudis love golf. Do you see any international connection to college football? I feel it's the most domestic sport we have in some ways, or am I off on that?
Yeah, I totally agree with you that it probably is the most U.S. centric sport, right? You go to Europe and they're like, wait, your sort of B-level sports leagues are attached to your colleges. It's a very forward concept internationally. And to be clear, I think the Saudi idea for Florida State is 100% not going to happen. But I do think, that they may be fairly down the line with the J.P. Morgan already as their backup plan. So I'm yes on private equity for them as far as likelihood. I'm definitely no on the Saudi being the source of the private equity.
And sorry, what does J.P. Morgan get out of that? It's an investment?
Yes, right. So I think they actually get an equity stake in the program.
Bud Elliott is our guest, CBS Sports HQ college football analyst. Let's stay with the ACC because we're on an ACC country as well. So, the deal with ESPN, appears ironclad, but if I learned anything, it's that, contracts, I guess, were made to be broken. But what do you think happens, Bud, to the ACC in the next, 12 to 18 months, or maybe even less than that?
It's a really interesting question, both short and long term, right? Short term, I don't think North Carolina really wants to leave. Whereas if you watch the Florida State Board of Trustees meeting, it's pretty clear that they do want to leave, and they're not really interested in making it work in the ACC. Then we're going to look to Clemson and Miami, right? Two schools that certainly they fundraise off national titles, they hire off national titles, they fire if you don't recruit at a national title level. So, for them, are they looking to get out as well? They certainly have not been as vocal in public about it, although in private, I know they're certainly doing some work, at least the due diligence, to potentially get out. And then long term, you look at the ACC. If we do go to an employee model, I think we're going to have some athletic departments that ask the question, like, do we want to be in the employer space, right? There's like a Boston College or a Syracuse or Wake Forest. I'm just naming the smaller private schools, right, that are within the league. Obviously, Syracuse is not a tiny school, but like, do they really want to play on that playing field, or do they want to go to more like a club plus model at some point? So I think short term, where does Miami go? Where does Clemson go? Long term, how many schools in the ACC really want to play at that sort of employer level? And that, I think, will decide a lot, not really within the next 2 years unless courts speed some of these judgments up, but maybe within the next 10 to 15 years. That's probably going to shape the college sports landscape quite a bit.
But with the 12-team playoff coming down the road, do you think the Big 12 and what's left of the Pac-12 are definitely going to have at least one guaranteed spot moving forward? How do you think that's going to shape up as far as one guaranteed spot for different conferences?
So for 24 and 25, it's already been decided. So for those 2 years, for sure. Now, after that, it's an interesting question because of the antitrust concerns, right? Is it anti-competitive behavior if you don't give guaranteed spots to leagues that have, for a long time been considered power leagues? I think that's one of the reasons and some of the concessions that they made in order to give these guaranteed spots, in order to go to the 12-team model in the interim before the existing deal was up. So I think there are some legal concerns there in terms of the anti-competitive stuff, right, for your antitrust concerns, if you don't give guaranteed bids to the leagues that are traditionally known as the Power 5 leagues. But what if we don't have 5 Power 5 leagues going forward, right? Like
we don't have 5 right now.
Correct, right. So I think it's a lot of this stuff is pretty fascinating. I don't have all the answers, but I'm certainly following it all. It's pretty fun. Although if you're a fan of like an Oregon State, certainly not quite as fun. And you're like, why are we doing this for $5 or $10 more million a year? Come on.
Yeah, it's like nobody asked for this. Bud, last one for you, and it is it's a question that has really divided this show right down the middle. And we're doing the greatest fictional sports rivalries of all time. Who is Rocky's true rival? Is it Apollo Creed, Clubber Lang, or Drago?
I think it's Drago because it unites the country. Yeah, I'm going Drago. Your producer also, I forgot his name, Super Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike's on Team Drago, so that's 3 votes for Drago.
Oh, you got swayed.
I did not know that Samter gave him the heads up on that, but it's not he's swayed. It's just the right answer.
I said Drago first, and then the producer's like, yeah, me too.
Yeah. So there we go. Sorry, Perloff. Clubber Lang. Not happening.
I mean, Apollo Creed and Rocky are like Michigan, Ohio State. You're going new school here.
Bud, thanks so much for the time today. Appreciate it.
Enjoy y'all. Have a great weekend.
All right, Bud Elliott, CBS Sports HQ college football analyst, co-host of the Cover 3 college football podcast.
Okay, so, Bud, that was great explaining so much, but it also feels like there's a lot still up in the air.
It feels like it's a ripe opportunity for people with tons and tons and tons of money to somehow interject themselves into college football. I don't know if that's the Saudis, but finance bros, whatever.
Yeah, but I was really curious. I agree with him. He said it might be a tough few years for Oregon State, but in 6 or 7 years, like this might all settle. Remember when there was a gigantic flurry of realignment of like 20 years ago, and teams in the East were playing San Diego, and it all was bizarre? That was total upheaval, but then it settled down like 5 years, and things went back to normal.
Or new normal. But yes, I get what you're saying. I think the other thing that Bud said there is if schools start to go to a place where they have to pay the athletes, so not NIL, but they become employees of the university and they have to pay them. How many schools have the appetite for that?
Yeah.
Like, it seems odd to me because I grew up in upstate New York to think about Syracuse going to a club as like a club sport. That was like the professional team in upstate New York. But I kind of understand because can they compete with FSU? Like not on the football side. On the basketball side, yes, but not on the football side.
It seems to me that football is becoming the only thing that matters. Basketball is becoming totally irrelevant, and football is centered in the South. So I don't see a bright future for Syracuse or Boston College football.
Yeah, I mean, but it's going to be not just those two. It's going to be a lot of schools are going to have this decision to make. What about Stanford? Yeah,
again, they should not have a big program. They have other priorities, I think.
Yeah, I guess so. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. All right, we got a lot to do in the last hour of the show. We have greatest fictional sports rivalries, We have the greatest coaching rivalries of all time. The advice duck is in the house today because it is a Friday. Quack, quack, y'all. Also, crazy, crazy story involving Peyton Manning. This can't be true. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Howell in the chat says, got a little advice for me. Maggie, for your 40-yard dash at next year's draft, have someone attach a bag of gummies to a stick like they do at a dog track. See, that implies that I needed some kind of motivation. The motivation was to not embarrass myself, which I'm pretty sure I did. I had like a Fred Flintstone kind of wind up where I was like, like my feet were going, and then I took off.
Yeah,
Like
you were
fast feet.
Next year, maybe can we get you a coach or something? Somebody tell you how to get out of the blocks.
How about just like a pair of shorts? Yeah,
Some sneakers, maybe.
I gotta plan a little better for this thing.
The upright running style, you have so much wind resistance.
I told you, I'm taller than people think, so that's a whole 5'8". I'm like a parachute out there.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on this summer Friday. Hope wherever you are, you're having a great day. And it's a big day because the Pac-12 is basically disintegrating into dust in front of our eyes, Perloff. And this is coming really, really fast, as it usually does with realignment. You have, all the powers that be are like, no, Big Ten, we're not adding any more teams. Nope, by the way, we're going to take Oregon and we're going to take Washington. Arizona goes to the Big 12. Arizona State and Utah probably not very far behind. So whatever your memories are of the Big 12, they are that. It's going to be memories. And to me, while I understand where the sport is going, or maybe where it's going in college football, I think it's the change that nobody asked for. What fan asked for this or cares? If you're a fan of USC and UCLA, were you asking to leave the conference? If it wasn't just for money.
A lot of savvy fans, especially at USC, knew there was something wrong with the Pac-12. Like that's been out there for a while.
Sure.
Going back about 2 commissioners now, they've known there's a problem there.
The TV contracts and the Pac-12 network and all that stuff, there were some major issues. I
think there was maybe some worries about the level of competition. Yeah, I don't see a lot of sad USC fans. The teams that got to the Big Ten seem kind of happy and excited.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, before this all started, was there a fan that really was like, man, I don't want to play, I just want to leave this conference? It's like, I understand fans, I think, wanted to see college athletes get compensated. I think the transfer portal, for the most part, fans are kind of into. It's like free agency all the time. I know the coaches hate it. But as far as realignment, it's like the change no one asked for.
Well, I think the one counter to that is that the entire sport was becoming irrelevant compared to the SEC. I mean, they were starting to lose massive amounts of the second best conference was miles away from the SEC. So I do think everyone was watching that and being like, well, this isn't that much fun to watch the SEC take over the sport.
Right.
Because it was basically, it's really Georgia, Alabama, and, everybody else. So
LSU.
LSU, that one Joe Burrow LSU year. But I do think that was not super healthy for the nation as a sport. Like, did anyone think there was going to be a champion out of the Pac-12 until Lincoln Riley showed up at USC? They had no chance.
No, but so what are you gaining here? Like, you're losing rivalries and you're losing tradition, and you're gaining, like, once the college football playoff expanded to 12 teams, that was your better shot to win a national title right there. But let's be honest, some of these teams are not in it all. They don't measure success by winning national titles all the time. Some teams are in it for good seasons and good bowl games, and but that's kind of it.
I don't know. I guess I'm being selfish here. As a fan without a team in the fight, I want to see the best matchups all the time and constantly, like the NFL. I want every college football weekend to be like every NFL weekend, where there's just an incredible sense of urgency. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. There's just going to be so many fun games to watch.
I get it, but you put it perfectly there. This is going to become the NFL.
Yeah.
So if you're okay with that, and if you want your college football to become just like the NFL, where eventually we're going to get to 2 conferences, the AFC and the NFC, or the North or the South, or whatever they're going to call it, that's where we're headed. And even if you have 3 conferences, fine. So it's the AL and the NL. Like, this is a professional model. And I always thought what people loved about college football is that it wasn't the NFL.
Yeah, but I find all the stuff about where you don't get to see the great teams play against each other annoying. I personally found I was so annoyed back in the day when there wasn't a true national champion crowned. I like the Final Four. I like the 12. I want to see the best team, and I want to see them play each other. I want to see the great teams play against each other.
Yeah, you're going to get those, but you're also going to get like some other super random matchups.
But you get that now all the time anyway. I mean, do we really need to see Purdue against Nebraska? I mean, there's nothing there anyway. There's a lot of bad conference matchups already. I just think the more money and the more attention and the more everything that goes into college football, the better it's going to be. Players are going to be less likely to go to the NFL. The whole sport feels like it's just pushing up and up and up and getting more intense every year.
Yeah, I mean, tell that to an Oregon State fan today. Doesn't feel like they're going up and up and up. It looks like right now they kind of got poured to the wayside.
Yeah, but let's talk about it.
State.
Let's talk about it next December when we have Notre Dame playing Clemson in the round of 8. You're telling me everyone you know isn't going to watch that game?
No, they will, but once they expanded the playoffs, like, we're suckers for playoffs. We can't, we love it because a single elimination, that's always awesome. But that once they expanded to 12, then you were going to have more representation for conferences like the Pac-12.
Or, okay, how about
or the Big 12?
November 1st, 2027, when Ohio State visits Eugene, Oregon. That's going to be amazing. It's going to be like having a Rose Bowl in October.
Yeah, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Donovan's in the chat says, Perloff can't wait for that epic Oregon-Rutgers matchup.
Everyone keeps saying Rutgers.
I know. It's just so easy as the punchline. And I live close to Rutgers, and I appreciate that program. I've been down there. I've been a guest of theirs. They're great. It's just...
Like all these people in the world were glued to Washington Cal or something. I mean, whatever. There's bad Pac-12 matchups every week. There's bad every conference. And by the way, right now the Big Ten is the second most important conference. Rutgers is in it now, and nobody complains that once in a while you have to play Rutgers.
No, because usually, like when Michigan goes to play Rutgers, they win 76-0.
Yeah, and it's fine. It's not like the Big Ten stinks now because Rutgers in it, so you can't use the Rutgers argument again.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So you are welcome to weigh in on what's going on with realignment. I know we have a big audience in Oregon. We know we have big audiences in the ACC as well, in ACC country. And now all eyes are on the ACC because the Pac-12 is... Well, we still have to determine what's going to go on with the remaining members, but, I mean, the ACC is next.
Yeah, I mean, the ACC has some problems beyond just this. Like, Dabo Swinney's got to start using the transfer portal. Miami's got to start taking the right money instead of random NIL money. Like, the ACC is actually a little down. I just worry that all the conferences are losing to the SEC and the Big Ten. I mean, there is nobody. The Big 12, Arizona, Colorado, that's really nice, but do you honestly think anybody's going to be talking about those schools come national title time? No.
So that's one thing that's going on today. Now, the other thing that's going on today is the end of Rivalry Week here on the Maggie and Perloff show, and it has been amazing. So today, to finish it out, well, Stu, you can play the music.
The Great Debate Series. Best Sports Rivalries.
Okay, so today, of course, as we're doing one sports, one non-sports, kind of broke our own rule a little bit. We're doing greatest fictional sports rivalry of all time. Now, it started innocently, where I picked Shooter McGavin against Happy Gilmore.
I picked Karate Kid, Johnny versus Daniel LaRussa.
And that's how it started. And
by the way, I could have gone Mr. Miyagi against that other guy, too, Johnny's mentor.
Yeah, Johnny's mentor.
What's that guy's name?
Yeah, the other.
The head of Cobra Kai.
John Kreese.
What's his name?
John Kreese.
Oh, yeah, Kreese. Ooh, he's been through some stuff.
Now, listen, Perloff and I are always willing to admit when we just miss the mark. Because Samter came in with the question that has now taken over the show in some ways. Who was Rocky's true rival? Now, honestly, you can't feel like there's only one correct answer. Like, this is one of those questions where you have your answer and you are tied to it. because I think it's Ivan Drago, and you will not move me off my mark.
Gotcha.
He killed Apollo Creed. Rocky beat him in Russia, beat him at his own game, in his own home country. But the fact that he killed Apollo means he's number one.
Clubber Lang wearing a fur coat propositioned Rocky's wife on the steps of the art museum. If you're telling me...
Who hasn't propositioned Adrian?
Nobody has propositioned Adrian. No, I think it's by far Clubber Lang, although my Twitter feed has a lot of Apollo Creed. People are saying Apollo was in 4 movies. That's
he's the origin story.
Yeah, he's sort of, but he became such a good friend that's the confusing part about this rivalry.
Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We'll have Samter update the poll in just a moment. Jamie is in Syracuse. He's on Team Perloff here. Hey, Jamie.
Oh, hi. How you guys doing? Absolutely Team Perloff, because you don't do that to someone else's wife and not seek revenge. But I also had a...
okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Jamie.
The other thing I was going to say, it would have been Apollo Creed if he did a remake of Rocky V, because he said he never wanted to kill off Apollo Creed. That was his biggest regret in the series. So if you have him lose to Drago, get put in the hospital, and then recover, then he has revenge and jealousy, because Rocky goes and beats Drago with Apollo's trainer. So then he goes and gets another trainer, and they could have had a third fight in Rocky V. That would have been sweet.
Man, Jamie.
And then I also had one from yesterday. I wasn't able to call in. How about Jeanette Lee versus Allison Fisher in women's billiards? They used to have a big-time rivalry.
Oh, yeah. She's the Black Widow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jamie, thank you so much for the phone call. That was for greatest individual rivalries of all time, which we did yesterday. Now, Jamie's clearly given this a lot of thought, which I appreciate. What I find fascinating is that men, or at least you and Jamie, find it more despicable that one man would hit on another man's wife than if one man killed the other man's best friend. You think what Clubber Lang did was more reprehensible than Drago literally taking Apollo's life in the ring.
Well, the thing is, Clubber just destroyed Rocky in their first match.
In the first match. But
yeah, that was so sad. That was one of the downest moments I've ever felt in a movie theater. It really hit me.
But then you realize that there's still an hour left in the movie, so you know what's going to happen.
Listen, Mickey died.
I know Mickey died. Apollo died.
Well, so wait, you thought Ivan Drago was going to end up winning over Rocky?
No, I knew that Rocky was going to beat Drago, but I did not see him killing Apollo. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't know that either. But I mean, listen, you guys act like Rocky IV was like the best. I think this is a pure function of age. Rocky IV is in the mix, but to you guys, it's like at the top of the Mount Olympus, the top of the Rocky pyramid, when I think most people think Rocky I and Rocky III are the premier Rocky movies.
I liked Rocky III. It's not about that. I just like IV better. And Rocky IV has an undefeated workout montage scene.
Rocky III is so epic, though. It was just like as 80s as any movie's ever been.
Quinn is in Eugene, has a fictional sports rivalry that we had not considered yet. Hey, Quinn, how are you?
I'm not doing too bad, but I think I'm going to ruin your day, Maggie, because the definition of a rivalry has to have history built into it. A single event is an opponent, not a rival. So Drago cannot be a rival. He's an opponent. And it's okay to be wrong.
Okay, wait, Quinn, if I'm wrong, I'll admit it, but how about this as history? The Cold War. I mean, the Cold War is what's at the center of the fight. It's just Rocky and Drago are, symbolic of the United States and the USSR. There's history.
You're reaching really, really hard, and I get it. It's okay. That tends to be the last hope of desperation. But let's talk about historic rivalries. Van Pelt versus Brown. So
Scott
if you want to talk about, say again?
Scott Van Pelt?
Against James Brown?
No. Charlie Brown, Lucy Van Pelt.
Oh.
Kicking the football.
Yeah.
So, Quinn, you know that my daughter, Lucy, is in the studio today?
Yeah.
One of the reasons I named her Lucy was because I appreciated the way that she just took no crap from any boy. And Lucy Van Pelt was a major inspiration, just so you know.
Have you ever told your daughter that, or is she finding out
knows.
today? Okay.
She knows.
There you go.
It's a great one, Quinn.
Yeah, think about everything that rivalry, and it's truly a rivalry. Think about everything that it represents.
I thought it was a little one-sided. Lucy kind of dominated Charlie, but
Well, right, but he always hopes.
Yeah, I mean,
and what do we know about sports? It's about the contest. It's the hope.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what gets him. Plus, she does bamboozle him every time. I promise this time I won't. I promise this time I won't. And then heartbreak. Kind of like the Beavers trying to do better in football. They tell their fans.
Now who's reaching?
Here we go.
Yeah.
This year, and then whoops, there you go.
Oh, Quinn. Thank you so much for the call, and that's coming from someone who lives in Eugene, so just rubbing a little salt in the wound there for the
Did
Beavers.
Charlie Brown ever actually get a kickoff?
No.
No.
Like once? Like one time
No.
Lucy threw him a bone.
No. God. It would have ruined the bit.
By the way, if you guys, at a certain point, if you want some Rotten Tomatoes critics score on the Rocky movies, I have that ready for you.
Yeah, we can't wait. Wade is in Oregon, also on Perloff's side. Hello, Wade.
Magster, Pulaski, how are you?
Amazing. How are you?
Good. Went out fishing, going golfing this afternoon. World-class band and dunes. You guys still aren't showing up, but hey, I'll keep trying. So I look at Ivan Drago as almost more like a victim of his country, right? He's chemically made. Even in the movie, during the fight, he faces his superiors and says, I fight for me, not for the system.
Yeah.
And so Clubber Lang, to me, is the better villain. I almost came across that movie feeling almost sorry for Drago.
Yep.
So
Drago wanted no part of that.
What's that?
Drago wanted no part of that. I mean, he didn't want to, shorten his lifespan just to take all
Okay.
those Russian drugs.
You know what?
Drago was a pawn. I agree.
Here's the thing, though,
Yeah.
Wade and Perloff, is you guys are being a little short-sighted here because obviously Drago wasn't, he was feeling enough patriotism for Russia when he's killing Apollo. How come he didn't have a come to his senses moment
I don't know that
after
he
killing
intentionally
Apollo?
did it. I don't know that he intentionally tried to kill him. I think the chemicals kind of overtook him, and he didn't
think it
know
was
how to
roid
stop,
rage?
and
He was just
roid rage.
He was trying to win the fight.
Wade, thank you
I almost came across feeling sorry for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
As opposed to Clubber Lang, he was. I mean, Mr. T. Come on, he's awesome. He was the perfect villain. No way it's Apollo because how that ended out. But anyhow,
Wade, thank you. You gave us a little bit to think about there. I never have felt bad for Drago. I'm going to be honest.
Well, Drago turned against the Russian
ends up-
machine at the end. I
Right.
forgot about that.
Yeah, I'd forgotten about
He
that.
turns against the Russian machine and says, I do this for me, not for you. So he's right there saying he's not a machine.
Yeah.
He's the guy doing this. He's making the conscious choice to kill people and hurt people.
No, but the point was he was choosing individualism over communism.
Yeah. They
So-
were really hammering you over the head with the symbolism.
And that is why
I never picked up on that part of it.
just real quick, I'm doing it anyway. I'm sorry you don't want to hear this. The critical tomato meter for Rocky 3 is 65%, which is like a B. Whereas Rocky 4 is
65% to B where? What school did you guys go to?
Well, for tomato meter.
Oh,
So that means like pretty positive reviews. Rocky 4 got 38%.
What? How is
Rocky
that possible?
critics are not idiots. Rocky 4, you guys were 9 years old when you watched this movie. It is not what you think it is.
I've seen it so many times. over
I've
the past,
watched it
like,
the
3 or 4
most
years.
out of any Rocky.
Yeah, you guys are just like caught in a time warp where you just happen to be hit by Rocky 4 at a patriotic moment. It's not a good movie.
It might be certainly unbelievable, or the least believable of the Rocky movies. However, I mean, like James Brown singing.
I'm well aware of what happens in the movie, but Rocky 3 was awesome.
Again, Donovan in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Jonathan Moxon and Bud Kilmer. I mean, that's a good fictional sports rivalry.
That's a good one.
With James Vanderbeek against...
Is that the coach?
Yeah, it's...
Was it his dad?
John Voight.
John Voight.
Oh, I thought James Vanderbeek had an issue with his dad.
No, he did too, but the coach,
The
they
coach
literally started like a revolt against the coach.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Could you go with Kevin Costner versus the brother in Field of Dreams? Is that a rivalry?
No, because he gets on. The guy from 30-something, he gets on board later in the show.
He comes around.
I mean, after Doc Hollywood Brown. Or Doc Hollywood.
The last line is like, Ray, we are not selling this place.
What about Gordon Bombay versus who was the other rival hockey coach in Mighty Ducks? I feel like that was a good one.
Like Mighty Ducks 2 was like Iceland.
It was Iceland, but Mighty Ducks 1, who was the villain in Mighty Ducks 1? I must be thinking Mighty Ducks 2.
What about the Robert Duvall journalist character versus Robert Redford in The Natural?
That's a good one.
There's a lot of bad guys in The Natural.
Yeah,
Would it be Glenn Close and Robert Redford?
No, Glenn Close was a girlfriend.
Who was the one who shot him?
Oh, that's Barbara Hershey.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I got them.
Glenn Close saved the day. But, Bull Durham have a bad guy? We need, like, more baseball movies. We don't have any. But Major League was a good one. Basically, my lesson here is you need a bad movie to have a really good bad guy, or at least a silly movie.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Keep them coming here. We will also, in our greatest fictional sports rivalries of all time, we also have never got to a greatest coaching rivalries of all time. Advice Duck is in the house. We've got Shot of the Day. We've got so much to do here, including a big Cowboy story that we have not gotten to yet. So Aaron Rodgers bought a house. I mean, there's a lot going on around here. We're going to get it all done.
Okay.
Up next, Advice Duck and your phone calls, 855-212-4CBS. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Back to Maggie and Perloff. We're running out of showtime here. I need some people to call in and inform Maggie and Mike that Clubber Lang is a true rival of Rocky Balboa. They think it's Ivan Drago. Call us 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227.
We should mention we're doing great fictional sports rivalries today. We didn't just
it doesn't matter.
come up with that on thin air.
I think that any day is a good day for a Rocky debate. Also, we just order the Rocky movies differently. You guys think Rocky IV is the best Rocky movie, and you're so cemented in that opinion. There's nothing we could ever do to get you off of it.
Yeah, because when Drago kills Apollo, I think it vaults it right to the top. Now, YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio. It is advice duck time, so if you'd like to watch me in a duck suit, come on aboard. Dan in Vegas says Maverick versus Iceman. I mean, unless you're just talking about the volleyball scene.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a sports movie.
But the volleyball scene does vault that into... I mean, is it really sports if one guy's wearing jeans?
They're all wearing jean shorts, aren't they?
No, if NASCAR is a sport, then isn't jet plane flying a sport?
I think a lot of them are wearing shirts. I think Tom Cruise is wearing jeans and no shirt, and that was the sort of interesting thing. Then there's the football scene in Maverick,
which is so stupid. Why does he have two footballs? They're playing with two footballs at once.
I don't know. I've heard the ladies like that scene. There's basically shirtless pilots running around.
Well, I mean, I'm not complaining, but let's go to the phones. Jacob is in Pennsylvania. I was asking about the Mighty Ducks rival, and I couldn't come up with it on the spot. Jacob, you can help me.
Yes. Wolf Stanson, a.k.a. the Dentist.
And that was from the original Mighty Ducks, right?
Actually,
or is it Mighty Ducks 2?
That is a good question because I actually haven't seen either in a while. But as soon as you asked that question, I was like, oh, the Dentist.
The Dentist. Man. Wolf Stanson. Yeah, he was the former NHL player who was the coach of the Iceland team. It was D2, the Mighty Ducks. Jacob, thank you for the call. And I think Brian had the same idea. Brian, how are you?
Just fine. That was my idea. I was going to say Team USA versus Iceland. Yep. It was a great rivalry because both head coaches were also rivals. And I'm also going to go with Clubber Lang.
Really? Yes. Okay. Brian's going to put his flag down on the Clubber Lang was the bigger rival of Rocky, where I say Drago. Perloff obviously says Clubber Lang. You know, he's right. So with the double rivalry, you know, Little Giants would also apply here because Rick Moranis and Ed O'Neill have a rivalry, and then it plays out with the Giants and the Cowboys, the little teams.
Okay. Confession.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen any of the Mighty Ducks movies.
Really?
Yeah, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Iceland is a rival? They play Iceland?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little wonky because Iceland isn't really a rival for us. It's not like Drago, where we actually were in a Cold War with Russia.
So the coaches are rivals.
Yeah, so Gordon Bombay and the dentist.
And is the dentist a nickname because he carves people's teeth out with his stick?
Yeah, well, he like takes out people, yeah.
All right.
There you go.
We could have done slapshot rivalries, by the way.
I know.
Ogie Oglethorpe.
The goon. Okay, advice duck in the house today. Now, we're going to do something a little bit different because this time the advice duck needs a little bit of help. I am taking my 4-year-old to an amusement park for the very first time this weekend, and I've got no idea what I'm doing. So
Okay.
I need your advice, Perloff, because you've been closer to this with your kids' ages than I have.
So I happen to know where you're going.
Yeah.
You're going to Sesame Place.
Yep.
That's not an amusement park.
Okay, sorry.
It's not Six Flags. So there's no death-defying rides. Everything's set up for kids. What has happened in recent years, because I know this park, it's become mostly a water park.
I feel like we're going to get E. coli.
So if basically a half hour in, the line for the average water park ride at Sesame Place is 2 hours and 45 minutes just to go on a 15-second tube ride.
Oh, no.
So the skill to a water park is avoiding lines. That is the whole ball game.
Okay, so
And
I
it
got to
takes
get there at
logistics.
6 a.m.
You get there as early as you can, and you have to have your head on a swivel. You have to see where the line traffic is going. I don't know if you have some sort of drone to monitor the different lines, but you have to be on your A game. Otherwise, you'll be sitting there because your kid's going to be like, I have to go on that ride because it looks like so much fun. But you're going to be like, honey, it's like, it's a 4-hour line. It can be really bad. And you're in the baking sun, and you're waiting, and then you get on the ride, and it's over like that.
So you're telling me that my 4-year-old who can't wait for 5 seconds might have a problem here.
4-year-olds' brains, when they see that downhill water slide, they go into a weird water park mode.
Yeah.
They have to go on that ride. And the water park ride, I'm a huge water park fan. My daughter, who is here today, can attest. We've been to all of them.
Yeah.
They're a lot of fun, but the lines are your biggest concern.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't know what to do about that. Now I feel bad because we're also bringing my mom with us too.
I'm also curious too. There's gigantic life-size Sesame Street figures.
This is going to go terribly.
Yeah. That goes bad sometimes.
Yeah, I already asked him like, "Hey, we're gonna meet Elmo this weekend." He was like, "I don't want to meet Elmo."
Yeah,
I just
almost like 8 feet tall. Are you aware of that?
RPC says enjoy your $25 hot dogs. Honestly, if we can just get away with a $25 hot dog, I'll consider myself lucky. Feels a little light. They're going to charge me $30 for that.
Oh yeah. Wait till you get to the food area there. That is an adventure.
They've already sent me an email heavily suggesting that I buy the parking ahead of time for $40 bucks.
You have no idea what you're in for.
I think I should do it. Dexter just nodded.
Are we talking Sesame Place?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't taken my daughter there, but I was last month at Sesame Place. I was a camp counselor a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need the parking.
You need the parking. Okay. I'll do the parking.
Something you said that made me think about it. I have a friend right now who's in San Diego at Legoland, and he's 4-year-old.
Yeah.
His daughter, impatient. They got the fast pass, and she's still impatient to get on these rides, right? She just can't wait. Just has to be on the rides. But you're right. It's what 4-year-olds do.
Are you going to do a fast pass?
Do they have one at Sesame Place?
I think they might.
I think they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to end up throwing all types of money at this thing. I don't have a choice. I'm in now.
You're in.
Yeah, they got
so
you.
in.
They
got you. And you have to spend the money. You got to do the parking. Got to do the fast pass. They got you.
They got me.
Dexter, you think she'll have fun? Because I don't think so.
Do I think Maggie's going to have fun?
Yeah.
I think she'll have fun if her kids have fun. That's how it goes. Like if they're calm.
Him, just one.
Just one?
Yeah.
If he's calm, this 4-year-old?
Yeah.
If he's fun and he's calm and he's having fun,
yeah,
you'll be okay.
We're 50-50. This could either go amazing.
But it can go either way.
It's going to go terribly. Oh, man. Well, thanks, guys. I mean, I don't know what kind of advice. You told me be on my P's and Q's, get there early, get the parking, get the fast pass. Okay.
Just if you see,
good advice.
Just avoid long lines. It's never worth it.
I agree with that.
855-212-4CBS. And wear a hazmat suit. It's always the floating Band-Aids in the water park that get me. Let's go to the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Ian's in Portland has a fictional sports rivalry for us. Hi, Ian. How are you?
Hey, Maggie, good. You guys are awesome. So I just wanted to kind of throw this one out, one of my favorite movies, and you guys can talk about it off air, or when I'm off air. But Remember the Titans, Herman Boone, and Coach Yost versus the entire state of Virginia.
Yep.
I know it's kind of like a them versus society, but I don't know. Maybe that's a rival.
But it's nonfiction. Coach Boone's a real person.
It's a real person. Like, that really happened.
Yeah, so we're doing fictional rivalries.
Oh, my gosh. You guys just called me out. Okay, I'm an idiot.
No, I love it. That was one of my favorite movies.
Ian, it's inspired. Thank you so much for the call. Because I was thinking about that, too. We were talking about baseball, and I was like, well, there's things in 42 with Jackie Robinson, but I'm like, all that stuff really happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, sometimes nonfiction is stranger than fiction.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Let's do Ethan, who's in Indianapolis. Ethan, talk to us.
Hey, guys, love the show. I got one for you. Excuse me, lesser-known sports movie, but a big cult classic. We got the Iowa State bowling champ, Roy Munson, versus Big Ern McCracken.
Yep.
Kingpin.
The best. The ball with the bowling ball with the rose in it. I mean, Bill Murray's excellent.
Oh, my gosh.
His hairpiece should have won an Oscar.
That's one of Bill Murray's best cameo roles. It's unbelievable.
Supporting, yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie from start to finish. Is fantastic.
Randy Quaid, who he's so bizarre, like as a person, but as an actor, soft spot. Cousin Ed. Kyle is in Tucson siding with Perloff on this who was Rocky's greatest rival debate. Kyle.
Hey, how you doing? For that vote, I take Clubber Lang, and then I want to throw in a new rivalry, and that's Gene Gerard versus Ricky Bobby in Talladega Nights.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Kyle, thank you so much. It's perfection with how Sacha Baron Cohen plays the rival as the French guy, and it obviously Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly are just incredible in that movie.
Yeah, shake and bake.
Yeah.
No, that is that was so random though that the bad guy. He's like an F1 driver who comes over to NASCAR just to prove he can do it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's pretty great.
It's inspired. Samter, can you update the poll for us? Now, a lot of the callers have been agreeing with Perloff, but I feel like the poll is where the Drago fanatics might come through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if the Drago fanatics are coming through, but the Clubber Lang fanatics certainly are not. He's lagging behind at 9%. Apollo and Drago are basically tied. It's 56% Apollo, 46% Apollo, 44% Drago, and then, like I said, Clubber Lang dragging behind at 9%.
Yeah, I mean, Apollo, by the way, let's not shortchange Apollo because just because they ended up being such great friends, that was classic, Apollo versus Rocky.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have the other opponents if we don't have...
He was the original.
Yeah, Apollo.
But the truth is, though, Apollo never really considered Rocky a rival. I think he was surprised that Rocky could even stay with him. He was just cocky.
And it never felt like there was a hatred between them.
No,
it felt like Rocky just wanted to make money and just get his break, and Apollo just wanted to prove that he was the best. It didn't seem like there was ever any animosity really between the two of them.
No. Apollo barely even noticed Rocky. Remember, they were the manager kept saying, "You got to pay attention." This guy's and he was too busy looking at his tax returns.
Yeah.
Remember, he's always wearing a suit and doing paperwork. What kind of boxer does paperwork all the time?
That's when we knew they were really stretching the story.
But then Apollo Creed was just jacked in that movie, though. I remember when I was a kid, I was like, oh my God, that's the most muscular man
And then
ever.
Rocky comes in there looking like Play-Doh.
And then Apollo Creed, Carl Weathers got back in because Maggie's big rivalry was, of course, from Happy Gilmore.
Happy Gilmore, I know.
And we know what happened.
Chubbs. It should have been Chubbs in the
Chubbs versus
Gator.
the alligator.
Bigger rival than Shooter McGavin against Happy.
In the hip.
855-212-4CBS. Hey, Chubbs, he got your head? I got his head.
How did Sandler get all that stuff greenlit back in the day?
855-212-4227. All right. How are we going to do all this? We're going to get it done. Greatest coaching rivalry and shot of the day. And we have Peyton Manning sound. And we've got Cowboys craziness. I believe in us. I think we can do it. We do all that after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Dexter.
Sports Flash.
All right. Kicking off this update with news from the world of college football. The Big Ten is set to invite Oregon and Washington to the conference. According to ESPN, a vote by the conference is expected to be unanimous, and that would take place today to formalize the two schools' admission. Oregon and Washington would follow USC and UCLA, making a jump from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, with Arizona in discussions to move to the Big 12 along with Colorado, who agreed to join last week. The Pac-12 could be left with only 4 members in the near future. Those schools would be Washington State, Oregon State, California, and Stanford. NFL news, the league is suspending Saints running back Alvin Kamara and Colts cornerback Chris Lamons 3 games for their role in a fight outside a Las Vegas nightclub in 2022. Tight end Mercedes Lewis will make history when he suits up this season. He just agreed to a 1-year deal with the Bears. Lewis, playing in his 18th season, would break a tie with Jason Witten and Tony Gonzalez for the most seasons played at the position. In baseball this afternoon, the Braves, they got their 70th win of the season. They beat the Red Hot Cubs, who had won 10 out of 12 coming into this contest. They got that 70th win, 8-0 over the Cubs at Wrigley. I'm Dexter Henry.
Hey, it's DA. Be sure to listen to CBS Sports Radio at home. Ask Alexa to play CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
On this summer Friday. Lot to do, not a lot of time to do it, so let's go. It's the shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Well, today's shot of the day, snapshot of the show, came from our discussion, greatest fictional sports rivalry of all time. We do not agree on who is Rocky's biggest rival. Now we're on the subject.
But Rocky
Who is Rocky's biggest rival?
It's definitely not Drago. He never even lost a fight to Drago. He never lost a fight to Drago.
He lost his career and his money to Drago and killed his best friend.
Samter hit at the end there.
No.
He killed Apollo. He killed Rocky's best friend. He's clearly the biggest rival.
I totally disagree. I think it's Clubber Lang, and I don't even think it's close. Clubber Lang demoralized Rocky in a way that Ivan Drago never did. Clubber Lang actually hit on his wife at a public ceremony. He totally took his man card away from him, and he killed Mickey. If we're really going to say who killed Apollo, I mean, Rocky could have thrown in the white towel a little bit sooner.
Wow.
I mean, I didn't want to say it. You pushed me in that direction. Who really killed Apollo Creed?
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
I got a little desperate there, I admit.
Even more inflammatory hearing it the second time. So great fictional sports rivalries. One that was brought up a couple times in the chat, but we haven't mentioned it yet, Perloff, is Judge Smales versus Al Cervix. So Ted Knight versus Rodney Dangerfield from Caddyshack.
That was great.
Well, we're waiting. You also could have done Danny versus Judge Smales.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Who's really Judge Smales? I mean, Danny pretends to like Judge Smales, and then he beats him in the tournament. Of course, I did one earlier in the week. Behind the scenes, Chevy Chase and Bill Murray were both in the movie and wouldn't be together, except for one scene. Yeah, that's a good one. Any Caddyshack mention's good.
So David is in Dallas, also as a Caddyshack rivalry, fictional sports rivalry. Hi, David.
Hey, it has to be the Gopher versus Carl.
Oh, yes.
That was the greatest part of the movie.
Yeah. Here, a little Gopher. Got a nice little present for you.
He blew up the whole golf course.
David, you're
Great
right. Thank you so much. To me, Smales kind of takes it a little bit more than the Gopher, but
that was a rivalry.
It was a big,
no doubt,
big plot, big part of the plot of the show, of the movie rather. Okay, so we've got a lot more to do. This wasn't supposed to all be about greatest fictional rivalry of all time. We were also closing out rivalry week with the greatest coaching rivalry of all time.
The Great Debate Series. Best sports rivalries.
Okay, coaches, I have a weird one, and a good thing we're running out of time because I don't have enough time to explain all of these. Jim Harbaugh versus the world. Here are the major feuds that are on record. Number one, Pete Carroll when Harbaugh was at Stanford and Pete Carroll was at USC. Number two, Jim Schwartz, who was the Lions coach at the time. They got in a fistfight after a game. Famously, 49ers President Jed York. Jim Harbaugh totally had a fray. Then Harbaugh went after Ohio State AD Gene Smith on Twitter, has a feud with Kirby Smart. Last year, got into it with Penn State's James Franklin. Don't forget former Tennessee coach Butch Jones and any pants that don't have pleats in them. Jim Harbaugh.
I mean, Harbaugh versus the world is kind of appropriate, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and that's just the ones we know about.
That's the ones we know about. And I think he fuels himself on this. I'm not saying this to be negative on Jim Harbaugh. I'm a big fan, but he definitely has no problem getting into it with opposing coaches.
Also, big rivalry with his brother. Met in the Super Bowl.
Kind of, yeah, but I think they get along very well. I think. Actually, I have no idea.
No, I think they get along, but two brothers meet in the Super Bowl.
That's the only time.
Both vying for their affection of their father. Sibling rivalry.
Yeah, Jack Harbaugh.
Yeah.
That's a man's man.
For the greatest coaching rivalry of all time for me, this was difficult, but I had to go with Belichick versus Mangini on this one. And the reason why is because Mangini was a former Belichick assistant. Belichick's the reason why he's in the league.
Yep.
And then as soon as Mangini leaves to become the head coach of the Jets, he tattletales on Belichick. It becomes what we now know as Spygate. Not only are the Patriots fined and Belichick's fined, they lose a first-round draft pick, but that's the first whiff of Belichick being called a cheater. And that's really like the black mark that's on the Belichick legacy, and we would have never known any of this stuff had it not been for Mangini.
Yep.
So in some ways, he kind of, took a shot at the reputation of the greatest coach of all time, or one of them.
Total betrayal. Incredible betrayal. I was at that game, 2007, week one. By the way, my favorite thing was Eric Mangini later showed up in The Sopranos, and Tony's like, oh, there's Manginius. I got to go. Eric Mangini, a short-lived life, but that one... That is as brutal as it gets between two coaches.
Yeah, that's just like searing rivalry. Now, if we want to go with like my favorite rivalry of all time, I got to take it back to John Calipari and John Chaney. Now, I went to an A-10 school, so the fact that the coach from Temple and the coach from UMass were going at it is has a special place in my heart.
I actually looked at that. I thought that only people in Philly knew about that one, so I didn't put it. John Chaney was huge for us.
And Calipari, though, didn't just he's a little like Harbaugh. He's got a couple rivals.
Oh, who else?
Of course, John Chaney, but Rick Pitino and Calipari are really big rivals.
But aren't they also friends? I think they're close.
No, they're not friends.
Okay.
And we could have gone to a lot of different college basketball ones. I mean, Coach K has Roy Williams and Dean Smith. You also have Jimbo versus Saban.
Yeah, that's a recent one.
That's recent. Jerry Tarkanian against Luke Olson. They were friends first and then became huge rivals. Bruce Weber and Bill Self had a really big rivalry because Weber came after Self at Illinois. Calhoun and Boeheim. Tom Izzo and Bo Ryan. A lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, all those old biggies. I feel like John Thompson and Boeheim and Calhoun all had a rivalry in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. And you could have thrown, a little St. John's coach.
Carnesecca.
Carnesecca in there, a little PJ Carlissimo in there.
We had this interesting discussion. I'm sorry, I know we're running out of time, but Bo Schembechler and Woody Hayes is at the top of a lot of lists. But they were best friends, I think. Schembechler played for Woody Hayes, learned everything. They presented the rivalry, but they were secretly buddies.
Yeah, but that could fall into the category.
Can you be a rival and get along with someone? That's what I was wondering.
So I think that's why ultimately we didn't go with like a Coach K versus Dean Smith or Woody Hayes, Bo Schembechler. It's like the rivalry will endure no matter who's the coach. Right. Like for me, Belichick and Mangini was about these two guys that did not get along, who did get along and then didn't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is a good one. I like the fist fight aspect of it. There's only a few coaches who've actually gotten in a fist fight, and Chaney was ready to go, even though he's like 35 years older.
It was crazy. We're going to have no time for anything else. We tried, everyone. We tried. Can I just give like a big round of applause for this whole week for Mike and Stu? You guys were awesome for this rivalry week. The chat, the Weedos and the Purple Drinkers were coming through so big. The callers, like this rivalry week, you guys really got into it and got behind it. So thank you so much for contributing.
I learned a lot. I learned about the bad guy in Mighty Ducks 2, the dentist. I learned that you guys all love Rocky 4.
Yep.
Maggie, could we say good luck at the water park this weekend? I can't wait for a full report on Monday.
Wish me luck, guys. I'm going to be coming home in a body bag. I can feel it.
Thanks, Johnny.
Get him a body bag.
Samter, Stu, you guys are the best. The Weedos. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.
You're in a 5-minute break.